Beef and nuggets are like
Actually, you know
chapstick.
what? I do have a funny story about that.
You're listening to Twin Stick Radio. This is episode 25 for the week of July 2nd, 2018. I am one of your hosts, Trey Higgins, and I'm joined by Chris Rodriguez.
Hello.
And Justin T. Lopez.
I am also a host.
Hey, did you see the good news?
Tell me, brother, what is the good news?
This was not I mean, it's a nice segue, but I did not intend for it to be a segue. I just realized I hadn't talked to you about it yet. But Twin Stick Radio is finally on YouTube.
Oh, I was going to say that.
Yeah. So it's up there. You guys can subscribe if you want to follow it there. If you prefer listening on YouTube, which people do. I learned this last week training a bunch of fucking 19-year-olds at work that they all listen to their podcasts on YouTube, which is very silly to me because at least on the Apple app, if you close your phone while it's playing in the background, it stops the sound and you can't start it again.
Unless you pay for YouTube. It's not Red anymore.
YouTube Now or something
Premium
like that.
something?
Premium, yeah.
Why do I have to pay for that?
Because it's a feature.
That's not that's so dumb. The original Apple app used to do that. But anyways, if you guys don't like, I mean, I don't know why you would hear this now. But if you guys don't like Apple app or podcast
Regular
apps,
podcast apps.
you can go listen on YouTube.
So I learned from that people who listen to podcasts on YouTube are fucking 19-year-olds. That's
Yeah.
all I got from that.
We're appealing to a younger audience, guys. How's everyone's week?
And we're insulting them
At the same
at
time.
the exact same time.
If you're listening to this, fuck you.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. Is basically what was just said.
Sure, yeah, no, I agree with that.
I always appreciate it when Everett laughs at a joke. It's always like a good, solid laugh.
I just want like a really quiet mic on Ev so
Yeah.
we could just pick up his little laughs.
If I was a comedian, I would want like Everett to my entire set would be made to make Everett laugh. Like if no one else laughed but Everett laughed, I would be okay.
Don't make it too late or he's gonna fall asleep in it.
It's an early. It's like the old person. Like
Oh, okay, it's like the
scheduled
early
ones.
bird. It's
a matinee.
an early bird comedy.
comedy special.
No, those are matinees are for me.
Come get your breakfast with the comedy special.
Matinees are for me. For Everett, it's definitely early bird. It's
Gotcha.
the 3 o'clock dinner comedy hour.
Any
steak with a side of
interesting-
eggs.
Any interesting anecdotes before we get into everything?
I don't know what that means.
Stories from your week. Interesting
I don't
pieces
know
of
what that means
information you
either.
want to share that might not be related to video games.
I don't know what any of that means.
An ex-employee of ZDT's stopped by a couple days ago.
ZDTs.
Yeah. But it's a big deal because now he's an NFL football player.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
like, oh, hello. You got a lot bigger since the last time I've seen you.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. He's nice.
You have a very weird life.
I do. I really do.
Just it seems like every now and again just something happens and it's like, why is this happening to this
Have
one
you ever been
person?
convicted for your aiding and abetting at Kirby's yet?
No, that's why I left Kirby's.
Okay.
Like, sorry guys, I can't take the rap on this one.
Yeah. But no,
you
it was just weird because like, he paid for like some of his family to come in and like, like I felt obligated to ask.
ZDTs?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
because
gonna say.
he worked at ZDT's and he's from Seguin.
Oh, I understand.
And I think
I don't. He's an NFL player.
Why wouldn't he just take his plane to Six Flags?
who knows?
Just because you sign to the NFL doesn't mean you get that much money. The lowest contract at the NFL are for kickers, and it's like $150,000 a year. That is not going to get you a fucking plane.
He was
Get you half a plane.
He was
no,
a first.
it definitely will not.
He was a first round pick. I was.
Oh, is he really?
I was curious.
Did he go to Seguin High School?
Yeah,
And he's a first round draft? Holy shit.
he's very good.
Where'd he go?
Raiders. No. Yes, Raiders. Oakland Raiders. This is his first year. He hasn't
The
played
Raiders
yet.
are in Oklahoma?
Were you
Oakland.
nice to
Oh, I
him
was
when he
like,
worked
I
at
said
ZDTs?
Oklahoma
I
Raiders.
was.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a cool guy. Yeah, but no, I was very curious. I was like, I wonder how much his contract is. And that's all public information. So I Googled it. It's a $4 million contract.
Over how many years?
4 years.
It's pretty good.
He owns
crazy.
3
That will
planes.
also not get you a plane. It is not $1 million for a fucking plane.
It doesn't have to be a fancy plane.
Yeah, he's right.
Any
He's
private
right.
plane.
You could probably get like a biplane for a couple
for like 2,000.
No,
One of the engines might break halfway to your
couple
destination.
tens of thousands.
For
I
a
don't know. I
song.
don't know how much would a biplane be.
I don't know. I'll ask him.
You should ask. How much was your biplane, sir?
How much is your private helicopter?
Your crop duster.
Anyways, that was my week.
If this is your first time listening to us, we are a podcast about video games, and we record weekly. We're usually up by Friday, and you can listen to us on all your favorite podcast apps, plus YouTube now. So go subscribe wherever you want to subscribe. We start the show with the same segment every week. I forgot who I started with last week. Justin,
last week.
Justin, what have you been playing?
You made a bad decision. I didn't play any games this week.
I might have made a good decision. I'll just make this go a little faster.
Okay, cool. I wish I played games this week. Chris, how about you?
You're the one that canceled Tuesdays.
That's because I was tired. And you weren't going to be there, and Ev wasn't there.
You can still play a game by yourself.
There was nothing I wanted to play by myself.
Oh, well, you could have played Borderlands with Daniel. He even texted me. He's like, hey, when we started Borderlands, it's like, oh.
See, I didn't have Daniel's number.
Well, that's your fault.
Or is it Daniel's fault?
Good call.
Think about that.
Touche.
Touche.
What about you? What did you play, Chris?
I played Destiny and complained vehemently about Destiny again.
Same stuff?
Always the same stuff. It's ridiculous. I literally completed 4 milestones on my hunter last day. Yesterday. Didn't raise in light level in any way, shape, or form at all. Not at all.
That's fun. How long did you play? Like how many hours were you playing?
It's like
2 to 3 hours, maybe.
Like 2.
But that's not the point, because Destiny, your power level and your light level doesn't equate to time played. It equates to activities done, which is, again, stupid. Absolutely stupid. So I completed 4 of the things that should raise my light level. Mm-hmm. Nothing. Because I got 4 boots. And here's the deal with Destiny and light level is, if, let's say, every slot is above 280. If you have a slot that is like, 380. If you have
I do that too.
If you have an A slot that's at 372, which my boots are, nothing that comes out of powerful engrams will get you up to 380.
It also averages out really weird.
Nothing.
That seems broken.
It's fucking stupid, because they take the average of your light level, and then they take the lowest of whatever your equipment is, and they add those two together, average them. So that comes out to about 370, like 376. Mm-hmm. Put that into you take a 376 thing, put a +5 mod into it. It only takes it to 381. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't raise my light level on anything, because everything's above 381 except my boots. And so guess out of 4 fucking milestones that I didn't get, boots. Everything else is the same, because I could not get boots.
Now, didn't you get 4 chess pieces on your hunter,
four
and then
chess
4
pieces.
boots on your warlock?
It's fucking ridiculous, dude. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Do you always do all of your milestones on the same day?
No, I mean, it's whatever time I have to play. Like yesterday, Trey had like 3 hours, so we just sat down and knocked him out.
Well, because I was just thinking, because like there was the whole thing of like Trey like opening up his, what was your Ingrams or whatever. Like you'd open one.
Oh,
you would, like,
well, I was
and,
playing
like,
with him, so we did it that way. Right, we would finish one, and he likes that. Trey's under it's that false thing where you know it's real, but it really isn't, but you really think it is. Everybody does it in some way, shape, or form. So we would finish one, we'd go to the tower, open it up, go do another activity, go to the tower, open it. That's what we did. Mm-hmm. And still, out of my hunter, I need boots. No, I'm sorry, I need a chess piece. I got 4 boots out of 4 powerful engrams.
On my last engram yesterday, I got what I needed, which was nice, because it was like, oh, I've been needing a cloak because my cloak is so much lower than everything else. That's great. But then I was thinking about it on my way to work, and I was like, that kind of fucking sucks, though.
Yeah.
Because since the cloak was the last thing I got,
now you're stuck.
I didn't really make any progress.
Nope, you are stuck until next week.
We'll talk a lot about Destiny later. It's at the end of our news, because there's a lot of new information about Forsaken. So I'm sure some of this stuff will come up. So I do want to move on from Destiny.
And I also played WWE 2K18. I stopped playing the career mode because it's impossible to unlock anything. And I went into my universe mode, where I basically get to play GM across all shows, and it's a lot of fun.
Huh. Do you actually play the matches, or
you
do you
can
just watch
if you
them?
want to?
Okay.
But you can set up rivalries, and you can set up tournaments. Like I've got a North American Championship tournament happening in NXT right now, and then all these other things. And then I created a main event on a Friday night for all the wrestlers that just are like mid card that don't get spotlights on Raw and SmackDown. They have an actual spotlight on like Friday nights now. It's how I would run WWE, and in my personal opinion, it's way better than what's on TV right now. Yeah.
He actually gave up on it. He's just watching his own matches all the time now.
And I downloaded the newest addition to PlayStation Plus. What were the two editions? It was
Heavy
Absolver
Rain
and Heavy
and
Rain.
Absolver.
I already played Heavy Rain, so then I downloaded Absolver, which I've been wanting to play since it came out last year.
Yes.
2 years ago, last year. And it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. It's super lonely if you're not playing online, but it's a really cool fighting system. It's a full RPG mechanic where you can level up your characters as you defeat enemies, and it's got a really cool mechanic where like you can use your right thumbstick to switch stances in the same fighting style, and that switches your opening attack, and then each attack switches to another stance. So like let's say you're in stance A, an attack will bring you into stance C, which means you have the choice of continuing that attack or going to like a strong attack. The strong attack will leave you open, but it's very strong. It'll switch you back to another stance that you can combo off of. It's actually a really fucking cool combat system. Cool. And the more things and people you fight, you learn more stances by fighting them because you're technically watching them fight, attack you. So you can, it takes time, but there's like this little wheel that fills up per attack. And you learn that attack once you've seen it enough times and blocked it and dodged it and stuff like that. It's actually a really cool combat system. It's game's super lonely.
Is it a PlayStation exclusive or
No,
is it?
It's on PC, I think. I don't know. I don't know if it's
on Xbox as well.
It may be on Xbox. But it's really cool. It's like I said, but it's super lonely. There's no voice acting. I haven't heard music yet.
Weird.
And it's just really, really lonely. Even when you play online, it's very rare that you're going to run into a lot of people.
Is it intentionally lonely, or do you think that that's? Like
I know. I think it's
thing about it?
intentionally lonely because the whole point of the game is you are this fighter that is wanting to become the absolver, and you have to go defeat rogue absolvers or rogue apprentices.
It's like Highlander.
Kind of, yeah. And then you have to go defeat them, and then go defeat the big rogue apprentice guy, and then you can become the absolver. But it's really lonely. Like I said, I don't remember ever hearing music a lot. There's no voice acting, but it's really pretty. Like, it's a really fucking cool art style. It's like a really cool mix between I don't want to say clay, but it's got that look. It's got that, like, if you were
like almost hand painted.
Yeah, almost like a hand painted kind of like oil painting look. And it's really fucking cool. Like, there's some attacks have this really cool, like, and the attacks, a strong attack. You remember? Have you ever played Street Fighter V? Anybody? So Street Fighter,
probably did, yeah.
Street Fighter 4 and 5, like big combos and attacks have that really cool ink that kind of follows.
Yeah.
That happens in this game too. So like big attacks, it's very apparent that it's a big attack because it kind of becomes inky. Ink, that's a weird word. I don't know if you know that's a word. But it's really cool. It's a cool game.
Inky.
I don't, it's cool. That's about it. It's not like groundbreaking or anything. It's a cool combat system, but yeah, that's all. I played a lot. Did not play Borderlands because our anniversary was on Tuesday. So,
Congratulations.
thanks, man.
3
It's not what I was
years?
looking for. Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah.
Wasn't looking for that. Thanks anyway, asshole.
So this week I've been playing Destiny, but I also finally gave in because I had a bunch of coupons on my GameStop app and picked up God of War for $30. It's funny because I've been thinking about this game a lot, and I've been thinking about like how I want to talk about it and how it's special. I think at the like just bare minimum of like what I think about this game, it's very much in the style that all these other Sony games have been in. If you liked Uncharted, if you liked Horizon Zero Dawn, if you liked Infamous, I think that you'll really like this game. I also think though that there's sort of the story around this game that it's open world and that it seems to be affected by that new trend in games. I wouldn't say it's open world. I think in a lot of ways this game is very much influenced by Dark Souls. It's sort of like you have like this free roam map that you can kind of fast travel around, but it's not really open world. It's leading you down one path, but it has that sort of thing that you can do in Dark Souls where you create shortcuts for yourself so that you can go back and traverse it a lot faster. The combat seems very much influenced by Dark Souls. It's just not, it doesn't have that same amount of nuance that Dark Souls does. Like Dark Souls combat on its face is fairly simple, but when you do something right, like when you parry correctly, it rewards you in a really monumental way. And so far with God of War, and you learn early on by accident how to exploit the system and how to get rewarded for those little things. From where I've been playing, I put like 3 or 4 hours into God of War, and it doesn't really have that sort of like reward system to it. Like you can parry in this game, and the camera slows down for a second, and I don't know what you're supposed to do after that because the game doesn't tell you. But it's not like Dark Souls where you parry and then you attack and you do a shit ton of damage and kill an enemy instantly, and you're like, I need to do that all the time. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have like that same reward feedback. I also think early on, it's a little combat's a little stale because you're very limited in what you can do. At least from what I've been playing so far, like combat's fine, but I want to get through the combat to keep moving on in the story. Which is where this game shines at. Like I think more so than anything else, if you're looking for a very tight gameplay driven game, that's not really God of War. But the story is so far awesome. So when you think about Kratos, right, you think about there is like this weird version of gamer masculinity. And I think Kratos is tied up in a lot of that. Like, I just go back and play the first God of War. You like fucking eviscerate people and then fuck 2 Greek hot women.
That's what I remember about it.
Yeah, like that's like the first 5 minutes of God of War. Yeah. Kratos is still kind of that character to a certain degree. He's obviously older and he's been through some shit, and he has that massive beard. So he still is like this icon of masculinity. But the developers kind of give themselves an easy out when, I guess actually the writers give themselves an easy out when they're telling the story, because Atreus is kind of like this very obvious weak point.
Is that his son?
Yeah, that's his son. So it doesn't actually... They can be a little bit more subtle with Kratos' depth. And so the story is kind of like this fight between... It's about masculinity. It's about having that solid masculinity, but also figuring out when to let your guard down. And it's a really good story about fathers and sons. It's
it sounds lame.
Mr. Daddy issues over here.
Like I don't know. I don't know everyone's stories with their dads, but there are those moments in the game where Atreus says something, because spoilers, but not really spoilers, because it's literally in the first gameplay thing that we've ever seen for it. But before the game opens up, Kratos' wife is dead, and so you have those moments where Atreus is talking about his mom, and Kratos wants to do something about it, and you see that moment where he's about to do something like put his hand on his son or say something to his son, and he stops. He just stops doing it. And there's little moments like that throughout the game. But then you see other stuff like that is so stereotypically dad that I love it, because I don't think I've ever really seen it in a video game specifically. But the way that Kratos shows his love for Atreus is by wanting him to succeed at the things that they're doing. So he shows his love by trying to make his son more capable in this world. Like there's a moment later in the game where Atreus does something. Not later. This is still pretty early on, but like later from the beginning, Atreus does something that's somewhat traumatic for himself. And his whole thing is that he wants to prove himself to his dad. And so you kind of send Atreus off by himself, and you can see him in the distance. And he's kind of like, you can tell that he's like very upset about what he just did. And Kratos,
a little bitch.
Yeah, yes. And Kratos says to him like, "Oh, well, if you're not capable of doing this, we can just turn around and go home. Like, why are we doing this? If you can't handle it, like, let's just go home." And you see that moment where Atreus is like, "Wait, hold on. Like, I don't want to go home. I'm going to pretend like I'm fine. Like, everything's fine. Let's keep going, Dad. Like, I'm good." Like, that is such a stereotypical fucking dad moment. I think all of us have had that moment with our dad where we're doing something we want to be doing, and something happens and we get discouraged, and our dad is like, "Well, let's just go home."
No, my dad would say, "Stop being a little bitch."
Oh, well, Chris excluded.
Well, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And you're like, no, Dad, I can do this. It's fine. Let's keep going. So I don't know. I think it's, in terms of just general storytelling in media, there have obviously been tons of movies and TV shows that explore the relationships between dad and sons. But I think this is the first video game that like has ever got me thinking about that. And it's a really weird game to play. Like, I think it's a really weird game to play as a dude, because I think most dudes, maybe Chris excluded, because I really think you and your dad are a lot closer than the average son and dad are.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guys have very complicated relationships with their dad. Like it's a lot different than I think the relationship between a child and their mother. And I think dudes have it worse than girls specifically because biology deems it that should be the case.
My mom would also tell me to stop being a little bitch.
Yeah, your mom would tell you. Actually, your mom would probably tell you before your dad.
Yep.
Your dad wouldn't have to say anything.
Yep.
Your mom would just say it. So
Daniel summed this game up for me perfectly. It's like, don't worry about playing it. Play the next one.
How's that?
Because I know what happens in God of War already. And I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Yeah,
at
don't
all.
spoil it for me.
But he told me everything that happens, and I was like, man, that does not sound like anything I want to play. And he goes, hold on, and he finished telling me about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll play the next one then.
I really. So. I really enjoy it. It's actually gotten me excited about video games in a way that I think the last game that had me feeling this way was probably Horizon Zero Dawn.
I mean, Destiny doesn't get you excited about video games?
My relationship with Destiny, I realized this. I was talking to someone about this at work yesterday. My relationship with Destiny is very unhealthy. It is not a healthy relationship. Because really, if you think about what I'm actually trying to achieve when I log into Destiny, it's not much. I'm playing for hours to achieve very, very little.
Sure.
And I feel like that's how a lot of games have been lately. I feel like I'm logging in because I feel obligated to log in and not necessarily because the rewards are worth it.
I've always said to stop playing games if you get to that point. I've always said that.
But it's like...
If you're still playing Destiny, we had this conversation yesterday. If you're still playing Destiny for fun, like I am, I have a shit ton of fun when I log in and go and do strikes and shit. Progression and problems with the game aside, I always have fun playing that game.
It's not that I don't have fun. It's that the fun that I'm having with it is...
You want to be rewarded for your fun.
It's not necessarily the reward either. It's because in God of War, like if you think about it, the rewards in Destiny are a little bit more worthwhile than the rewards in God of War, because that's a character that you're going to be playing for years, and it's progression that you can show your friends.
God of War, you don't for 20 hours.
You're going to play for 20 hours, and
the progression is set up for a 20-hour gameplay session,
and you're not sharing that progression with anyone. So it's like the rewards technically in Destiny are more worthwhile, but. And it's not Destiny specifically. I think everyone has that one game where they feel obligated to log in and they have fun with it, but they log in because they care about their record as much as they care about the game itself.
Yeah.
The issue that I have is that it seems like every game in the past 6 months to a year have been those kind of games. Whereas like back when during the 360 and PS3 era, I had a game like Halo that I was very obsessed with, like my kill death streak or my kill death spread and keeping up with my friends and stuff. But every 2 or 3 months there was a game like BioShock or Batman Arkham or any of the BioWare games that came out during that time. Like there was plenty of other games that were like, I'm just here because I want to get through this awesome story.
Sure. Those people, I mean, I think a lot of people say single player is not dead, but I don't necessarily agree that single player is dead. I don't think it is. However, it's few and far between compared to a lot of games now.
And exactly. And that's the thing about God of War is that like my relationship with that game is a lot healthier because I'm not grinding for anything. What I want to do is I want to get through the story.
You know what? Let me rephrase that. I think there is a lot of single player games. They just don't get the treatment that AAA open world shared shooters do or shared games do. I think there are a fairly good amount of games where you can just sit down and play by yourself and be done with it in 20 or 30 hours, except they don't get the love like BioWare did in the original Xbox or Bethesda did or does. You know what I mean? They don't get that treatment. What gets that treatment is Anthem and Division and Call of Duty and Battlefield and Halo and Destiny and all these games where it's like, yes, you have a single player game, but what really matters is your character in a world full of millions of other characters.
Well, I just think I think that all just comes down to, and I've said it before, like the rise of just like the popularity of the internet, basically. Like everybody wants to be a streamer and everybody wants to be, the one of the millions, like best of the best sort of thing.
Sure.
Well, and I can admit those parts where I'm in the minority, right? Like I would say there's obviously a huge trend towards online multiplayer games. And it's a real trend. People are buying those games and they are successful and make millions of dollars and all that's well and good. But it's not that I want one of these games every month. I just want them more frequently than we've been getting them. And what I want more than anything else, because this is the part that frustrates me, is if you look at like the big single player titles of last year, I would say Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, and I had another one in my head. Horizon Zero Dawn is one of them, but there was another open world game that came out last year that they were all the three games that I'm thinking of, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and then whatever this other game was. They're all great games, right? They're good games, but they have no story. They have no like meaningful story. And I just want more of that. I want more games that have a meaningful story that obviously take time, and a lot of care has been put into them.
Sure.
And we're getting those from Sony, right? You know, Spider-Man's coming out, Last of Us is coming out. Those are at least two big games that are coming in the near future,
sure,
or far future, probably for Last of Us, that offer that experience. But I want a little bit more of that than we've been getting.
What I'm about to say has a caveat because it's a more of a generalization. Like, I lean more toward, and we've had this conversation before, I lean more toward the shared world experiences, because the single player games that are coming out aren't for me. Like God of War, I don't necessarily want PS3 God of War where it's just like fucking and just decapitating, but I want something that is more of a story than this God of War delivers. If that makes sense. I know the story, you don't, but I want more out of that than just the father-son relationship. That's not appealing to me in any way, shape, or form.
I feel like it's a very, not necessarily targeted story, but it's like, if you relate to that, then you'll get it. If you don't, you have nothing.
Like, I want single player to come back where it's Knights of the Old Republic, where it's like you do have individual things that are kind of on a personal level, Dragon Age, Inquisition, BioWare games. You have this kind of like ways that you can relate to the story, but overall you're saving the fucking universe. You know what I mean?
Well,
those don't exist anymore.
I think that comes from so I obviously like those kind of games, and I like the God of War kind of games that are telling a very focused, like linear, straightforward story. You, from the time that I've known you, you have always enjoyed the RPG story kind of thing.
Sure.
Like that's been your main thing for when you talk about your favorite stories in games. You usually aren't talking about, I know you like BioShock, but I'm going to use BioShock.
Sure, yeah.
You're really not talking about the BioShock or Halo Combat Evolved experience.
Right.
You're talking about some JRPG you played, Kingdom Hearts, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And I feel like the reason why the shared world thing works for you
it's because that story's there.
Is because it's kind of moving there. It's moving to the shared world thing.
Yep.
In a way that like a linear story like God of War can't.
Right.
I've always appreciated both of those. I would say my favorite tends to lean towards your way. It tends to lean towards like the BioWare and Bethesda's. But you know, there are still games like we were just talking about this game earlier, Last of Us. Horrible game. Amazing fucking story.
Sure, yeah.
Like there's always been room in my life for that stuff, and those are I would choose those games usually over a shared world game.
Sure, yeah.
And I just don't think that like I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I'm glad that Sony still exists because I really think that when Microsoft starts pumping out its exclusives, it's not going to be doing the Sony thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think like, I mean, again, and like I said, there's caveats. Like I say that, and then you were like, and then you could say, oh, well, Spider-Man coming out in August or whenever it comes out is for you. It's like, no, I don't like Spider-Man. I've just never liked Spider-Man unless it's Doc Ock Spider-Man. I don't give a flying fuck.
Well, I think,
and that's what's weird is like you have all these things that. They're making single player games for different people. Like the Spider-Man's a superhero thing. God of War is that really like close relationship thing. Horizon Zero Dawn. I probably would like the Horizon Zero Dawn story. But like there's certain things
if
that
I told you the story, you would love it, but I refuse to spoil it.
Probably. But like they're coming out with single player games and it's just they're just missing the mark with me. Mass Effect Andromeda was probably the last one that I played that was single player that I loved because you're fucking saving the universe.
And even then, like some of the open world shit in that game, because I've been thinking about going back to it because I didn't finish it and I really want to finish it. But I've been thinking about going back to it, and I thought like one of the biggest problems that I have with that game is that the open world aspects of that game take a lot away from the storytelling.
Sure, yeah.
You know, as much as like we talk about how great of RPGs that Mass Effect 2 and 3 and 1 are, they were really like super linear experiences.
Literally in that order.
Yeah, I think 2's the best, 3's the second best, and 1, it's okay. 1 is good. 1 is
2, 3,
game,
Andromeda 1.
Yeah, I haven't finished Andromeda, so I might agree with you though. But they are very linear experiences.
Yeah, they are. I think that they
so there's a lot of time for story.
Yeah, BioWare did BioWare did the. It's really hard to say this because Knights of the Old Republic came out such a long time ago, but BioWare's best game they've ever made was probably Dragon Age Inquisition so far. Just from
not my favorite of their games.
No, but
at near the top. But yes, I would say
that's what I mean.
I would say like. From an objective standpoint.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. KOTOR to me is the best, but overall, Dragon Age Inquisition is the best game BioWare ever made. And they didn't spend so much time like they did. The progression of the planet to Mass Effect Andromeda slows that game down to a crawl. Mm-hmm. It really fucking does. Mm-hmm. And that takes away from the story, and it takes away from that thing that's pushing you forward to save the universe. When you get to a point in a game when you ask yourself, it's like, why am I doing this?
Why am I clearing off this entire
when
map?
I should be saving the fucking universe? You know, you've gotten to a point in this game where it's like, fuck, we should have pulled back on this. Mm-hmm. Dragon Age was perfect because the only thing that you ever progressed was the keep. What was it called?
I forgot the name of the keep.
Yeah, whatever the Inquisition's main base is. You definitely
Skywatch or something.
Yeah, something like Skyhold.
Skyhold.
Yeah, you progressed Skyhold and you opened up new areas and did all this other stuff, and the aesthetic look of it got more and more regal and better and better and better as you progressed in the game. But it didn't take away from what you were doing in the game. It never took away from the fact that there was this evil looming, and that was the most urgent thing that you could possibly be doing. Mm-hmm. And single player games have done that. Like I think honestly, Assassin's Creed is a really, really, really great example of it too. Origins, you have this overarching story that is really important, and you finishing the story is really important, except there's this huge map and question marks everywhere. Shit. There's question marks all over the map. And it's like, oh, I got to go do these question marks, which is going to take you away from the story. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go do them, but they're there. And if you're a Ubisoft player like I am, you have to go find all the question marks. That really takes away from the overall path that they really want you to follow for this story. And it's kind of frustrating. Like,
well, that's the hard part about Ubisoft games for me, though, because they are still delivering some of that single player story that I really want. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I don't enjoy Ubisoft games and the way I do other games is because of the amount of shit there is to distract you.
There's so much shit to do, and yes,
and it hurts.
Skydive off of this building. And
sure, I mean, I stand by. Here's an unpopular gaming opinion that I stand by. Assassin's Creed Origins is not the best Assassin's Creed. Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys, it's not. There's way too much shit to do on that map, and it takes away from the overall game experience of Assassin's Creed.
It's the reason why I didn't buy Far Cry 5, because I'm really interested in the story, but here's the way that I'm replaying Destiny on PC right now, just for shits and giggles. Sure. I kind of wanted to play through the story again, and I wanted to re-level up a Guardian, or re-level up my Hunter, so I deleted my old Hunter, made a new one. The way that I play Destiny 2 is the least effective way for leveling. I literally will play through a story mission. It will unlock adventures on the planet. I will play all the adventures. Then I will go do the next story mission. Then more adventures will unlock, and I'll do those adventures. Not a smart way to play the game. Like, really, I should be focusing on the story because it's better for leveling up and all that other bullshit. But that's how I play games. And a game like Assassin's Creed Origins or Far Cry 5 it would send me into an OCD panic attack.
Sure.
To the point where I wouldn't want to pick it up.
Yeah, there was a couple times in Origins where I felt like I was giving myself an aneurysm because it's like just the next question mark and get the next one and the next one and the next one, even though there's story missions waiting for me on the other side of the map, but there's another question mark 5 meters away from me. I got to go get it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
And that's the nice thing about God of War, is that the world that you're exploring is interesting. Sure. The lore surrounding it is interesting, but it is very much forcing you down like a linear Dark Souls path.
Yeah.
There are ways that you can split off and things that you can explore and do, but for the most part, it's like, hey, this is you're committed to this.
Did you platinum Origins?
Yes,
you did.
I did platinum Origins. I tried. I
fought through the aneurysm.
I did fight through the aneurysm. I tried to platinum every Assassin's Creed game except Syndicate. I hit a bug where I can't get the last one. What was the one before? What was the one before that? Unity was too buggy multiplayer wise to do anything. Like you can't. It's damn near impossible to get the platinum because of the multiplayer.
You guys want to do the news?
No.
Yeah.
I think this is it's a slow news week because of 4th of July.
It's time for the news. It's Trey's news. Dun-dun-dun.
Beautiful.
I feel like last week was longer.
You're longer.
He edited it for style.
It's the radio cut.
So I feel like it's a fairly slow news week, but there's enough like good things that have happened this week that I feel like this will keep us occupied for a while. According to a job listing spotted by Reset Era, the studio behind Left 4 Dead and Evolve, Turtlerock, is hiring developers for a new AAA game in a, quote, globally known franchise, end quote. The job listing is seeking someone with experience working with modern FPS engines, as well as AAA first-person action titles, suggesting that Turtlerock may be making another first-person multiplayer game.
Borderlands 3.
Shit, at this point, probably yes.
We live in a post-Rage 2 world.
Anything's possible. The internet thinks it's Left 4 Dead.
I would love another Left 4 Dead game. I love that.
Why would they? So, in a globally known franchise, if it was Left 4 Dead, they would probably say our globally known franchise.
Because they don't own Left 4 Dead. Valve does.
But Turtlerock is the one who created they worked on Left 4 Dead.
Didn't
they develop it?
Turtlerock is still an independent studio.
Sure.
So I don't know that. I don't know how copyright shit works, but I don't know that they can claim that Left 4 Dead is theirs.
Interesting. Okay.
I personally don't think it is. I don't think it's Left 4 Dead. There are reasons why it might be, because Valve announced recently that within the last year that they want to work on making more games again. But I don't think that Valve is interested in the kind of game that Left 4 Dead is anymore.
Also, let's be honest, Left 4 Dead was never a AAA game.
A lot of people like to believe it is, but I would say yes, you're right.
I mean, yeah, I would agree. But it had the popularity of a AAA game.
Sure, but that's like saying Fortnite's a AAA game. It's just not.
Well,
they're not. That Left 4 Dead was never a AAA game.
But PUBG is a quadruple A game.
Sure. Yeah, when you have a mode that it's just choosing. It's a multiplayer game. Call of Duty multiplayer. That's all it is. You just choose a map and you go kill some zombies.
Yeah, talk about repeating content though.
Yeah,
no one has ever made me want to repeat content more than a Left 4 Dead game.
Sure, they nailed the idea of just doing the same thing over and over again, but it was a shit ton of fun.
Yeah, well, because they had that in that super fucking smart AI in the game, that the director, that adjusted things depending on how you were doing. Like that. That's so cool to me, and the fact that is not in more games, it's just crazy.
Sure, I mean the Nemesis system's the same thing. The fact that system isn't in all single player RPGs just baffles me.
So, do you guys think it's Left 4 Dead? Am I the only one that thinks it's not Left 4 Dead?
I read that and I honestly thought if I was Gearbox, I would try to hire out for Borderlands 3 to help.
Yeah.
If I was Gearbox, because I need to get my ass in gear, I'm going to go out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for it to be Left 4 Dead. I doubt it would be though. I don't know. I feel like if it was, I feel like Valve's name would be on it. Like at this point.
Well, I mean, maybe I don't know if I believe that necessarily, just because we've seen plenty of developers that are working on shit that we know what it is and we know who it's attached to, but who they're working with isn't apparent right from the get-go. Like when there was that leak a couple weeks before E3, that there was a studio that Irrational might be working on the next BioShock. No one attached that to 2K. Sure. We just assume it's attached to 2K because we know BioShock owns it.
Sure.
So
that's fair.
Yeah, it's I think if I were Gearbox and I was trying to evolve the Borderlands series, because the evolution from 1 to 2 was just a better game in general. You know what I mean? But I think if you were going to evolve Borderlands 3, I would make it to where the Vault Hunters worked better together. Does that make sense? I would make it to where
there's more synergy between.
Sure, there's a lot more synergy than just Maya lifting up somebody and everybody shooting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give us more synergy when it comes to the Vault Hunters. Give us a reason to play 4-player co-op. And Evolve did a really good job of that.
That's true. Those classes worked really well together.
There was a shit ton of synergy in Evolve, even though it didn't really work well. I mean, it did work well.
It was a fine game. It just was not worth $60.
Sure. That's how I would personally evolve Borderlands, and but I'm not a game developer, so
yeah. I almost skipped one, but it didn't make sense to skip that one. In an interview with GameStar, Bethesda's Todd Howard was asked why Fallout 76 wouldn't feature online cross-platform play. Howard responded, "We'd really love We would really love that, but right now we can't. Sony is not as helpful as everyone would like.
I don't understand why people keep asking game developers, hey, how come your game's not cross-platform? It's like, it's not their fucking choice over here, guys. Because it's not their choice.
We sat down and we said, nah.
You know what? We don't want all of our players to be able to play together. That seems ridiculous.
I think that there's a certain degree of like targeted attacking of Sony that people are trying to lead people to answer questions this way.
I'll agree with that.
And Todd Howard hates Sony already because Sony fucks over Bethesda every chance they get. Yeah. So of course he's going to call out Sony when he gets the opportunity to do so.
I love that quote though. Just they're not as helpful as most people would like.
Sure.
Yeah, but I also don't know. I don't know why you would expect or necessarily want that. Like Fallout 76 on PC will probably have some problems with people fucking with that game in a way that you can't on consoles. And as a console player, if I decide to play this game on console, which I probably won't, but as a console player, I wouldn't want to potentially run into someone that's fucking with the game that way.
Sure.
That was the big problem that GTA Online ran into. Is like,
and someone shot money at Chris.
Yeah, I think it depends on how the servers are set up. Peer to peer, you don't run into that problem. But when there's like dedicated servers like
something
GTA and Division, there's something to hack into.
Well,
I don't know how
they said it's dedicated servers.
We probably will have that problem in PC then.
Yeah. So as much as like it's great to want this cross-platform play, I think until you have a more closed system on PC, which will never happen because that's the exact opposite of why people play on PC. Yeah. So, but until that does happen, I just don't see how that's gonna.
It's also why it's just cross-platform between PC and consoles have never made sense to me because I'll go play Borderlands on console and I'm just like murdering things every second because it's really easy to on a mouse and keyboard.
Oh, you're on PC.
But I go to console and it's like playing Destiny. It's like shit. I'm like, I get shot in my controller. It's like, oh fuck! And it's like it's really fucking hard.
Like,
I turn super slow. And
you turn really slow, and it's like the unfair advantage from PC to console is there. And I would never want a cross-platform game between PC and console. I would never want that.
When I think of cross-platform, though, I usually think just like cross-console.
Sure. I mean, that's fine if it's cross.
But it just depends on the game.
But then that'll never happen either because Sony is too fucking prideful to want to cross-platform with Microsoft.
Well, it's you were talking about that PC. I want to go back to that real fast. So on Destiny on PC, I usually play Arcstrider because I still haven't gotten a fucking Orpheus rig in that game. And on PC, I feel masterful when I play Arcstrider. Like I just feel like an artist painting a picture. But then yesterday, I was playing Arcstrider while we were in the Strike playlist, and I felt like I was using an NES controller to play fucking Destiny. I was like, this is so sloppy.
It's funny too. Listening for some reason, we can hear your controller so loudly when we're playing Destiny.
Weird.
It is so loud. So you playing Destiny and an Arcstrider, this is all you hear. Because he's pulling the trigger so fast, but like that doesn't make a difference, right?
Right.
Anyway, and like when you jump, it's even like.
I'm really embarrassed.
It's like really fucking loud.
I'll have to turn down the gain and.
But yeah,
you should have said something.
I'm hearing you play, and like I see you shoot, and your gun's not shooting as fast as you're pulling the trigger, and it's like, what is he doing?
I don't know.
You pull that trigger like, and your gun's firing like. Your gun's firing as fast as the gun can fire, which weird. I guess it's fine.
I have noticed like with brawlers, like in the way that like not necessarily brawlers, but games like Dark Souls and fucking God of War. I am a big fucking like spammer.
Are you?
Yeah, I think it's just from those. I think it comes from the early days of gaming. Like it's a habit I haven't broken.
Where it's spam, yeah.
Where before
there was intuitive combat systems.
Well, yeah. If you pressed a button, sometimes the thing that you pressed the button to do didn't happen.
Sure.
Like on a Super Nintendo.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you were going to go the route of like, before there was intuitive combat systems, there was God of War and Devil May Cry, where all you did was smash X as fast as possible.
No,
but now you have a game like Dark Souls where it's like you can't just smack, you can't just pull the trigger as much as you want because you're going to die.
It's just like back in the day, like it was either shitty controllers or shitty game design. design, especially on handhelds, which is where I played most of my games as a kid. You press buttons.
Shitty controllers.
You press buttons and things don't happen. So you have to press the button like 2 or 3 times before something happens, and it's translated into adulthood.
Well, I would always get the shitty controller that like someone spilled like orange juice on, so like the buttons just stick every time.
And not only that is it was the off-brand one, so it definitely wasn't very well.
It was
made.
like kind of like see-through green. And it's like
I told the story when I got back from Pennsylvania, but we went when I went there. My friend's roommate had Mario Party when we played it, and there was still on fucking it's 2018. There was still a fucking shitty GameCube controller that we all had to pass around to make it fair. At one point, they tried to super glue like the stick to it, and it just made the stick all stiff.
Have you tried to? And after years of modern first-person shooter controls, have you ever tried to go back and play GoldenEye?
No, I haven't.
It's horrendous because the joystick controls. How does it work? All your look.
It's actually 8 directional.
It's 8 directional.
It's not like...
And then the C buttons are how you move. Mm-hmm. So moving with your right thumb is really fucking weird. But there's something... I'm sorry. Strafing is done this way on your joystick.
Don't you look with the C stick or with the C buttons?
No. Strafing is done with the joystick. Looking up and down is done with the joystick. Moving forward is done with the C buttons, and turning is done with the C buttons. Ugh. It is the worst thing in the could be off a little bit, but it's just horrendous. Controllers. But like horrendous controls.
The thing about it is like the original PlayStation controller isn't bad.
No, it's not.
It's basically the same controller they've had for forever.
But the original PlayStation never really had first-person shooters on it.
Yeah, but like
when they did, they came out with the DualShock.
I don't understand why Nintendo like stuck to the GameCube controller for so long. Or not GameCube, I'm sorry, the N64 controller for so long.
Because Nintendo is 10 years behind the curve of gaming, always.
You go back and look at just how like the N64 controller looks, and I'm like, my God, that is a monstrosity.
It's horrendous.
Just like who, like in what alien's hands were this like this work? Makes sense?
Sure, someone with 3 hands.
No, somebody with really, really tiny Japanese hands. Let's be honest here.
They just set it on the ground and they're just like
it's like
basically like a keyboard.
In other Fallout 76 news, to celebrate America Day, aka the 4th of July, Bethesda and Copilot Music and Sound have released their version of Country Roads. The track is on iTunes for $1, and all proceeds are going to Habitat for Humanity.
$1.
$1. That's good.
$1. Is that what I said?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
$1. All of the dollars.
Justin, I think this story will really help you out. It might help you get your computer fix. Thanks to a bit of investigation from a game streaming service called Rainway, it appears as though tens of thousands, that's a quote, of Fortnite players downloaded an app promising free V-Bucks that instead infected their machines with viruses. The app in question promised to generate free V-Bucks while giving its users a free aimbot that would give them an unfair advantage in competitive matches. Instead, it delivered a man-in-the-middle attack that altered web page requests on the user's PCs by adding in tags for an ad service called Adtelligent. Rainway filed an abuse report with the file host, and the service was removed immediately, although players' fucking computers are still infected.
This makes so much sense now.
Yeah, you're like, why isn't my aimbot working?
All those free V-Bucks wasn't worth it.
It's the same thing where people go to coupon sites and they expect to get like 50% off of a game from a coupon site or 50% off of ZDTs.
I was going to say, I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
if I told you about that.
50% off of ZDT tickets and like expect that to work.
Yeah. You want to tell a story to the podcast?
It's the same thing.
I haven't heard this story.
Oh, I guess I just told you then. Weird. Oh yeah, no.
Don't make it long.
Some lady comes in, coupon on her phone. She's like, "Yeah, it says here we get 50% off." I look at the website. It's like themeparkcoupons.com.
Like, coupons are us.
And it's like the coupon was clearly like an ad. It just said like click here for 50% off. And like there was like clearly like an X in the right hand corner that you could just like clear the ad. Like I was like, that's not us. Like get out of my face.
How much are tickets for ZDTs? Like do you really need a 50% off coupon?
No.
$24 for one person?
Full day of everything.
But for everything.
They have go-karts. I would pay $24 to fucking ride go-karts.
Man, too bad ZDTs isn't open when it's not 100 degrees
Seriously.
outside.
No, but that's the thing is like that's the tens of thousands of people that got affected by this are 12-year-olds and those people.
Yeah. I remember
100%.
I remember my brother's like my brother. He's a little bit older now, but he had a laptop whenever he was probably around like this age or like younger.
Sure.
And it was the most god awful piece of shit computer because he downloaded so much shit on there.
Sure.
Like I would try and get on there, and I was like, dude, like what are all these like freaking like hot bars on your in your internet browser?
And the actual arrow key for the mouse was like glowing or pulsing. Yeah, it's like what the fuck. That's those people. Like it's the same people that think they can get 50% off of PlayStation Plus because they click on this link. You know what I mean? It's freaking.
See, that's worked enough for me that occasionally I still try that.
See, I'll admit sometimes like I'll like if I'm buying
what you're doing is illegal.
If I'm buying something on like eBay,
that's people stealing codes, somehow figuring out how to activate them and selling them.
I'm not buying them.
Then how are you getting the codes for 50%
Literally, there are
off?
websites that will list coupons for other websites, or they'll list promotional codes, and I'll go and find that and then use those.
Retail me not.
But here's
you're not doing like it wasn't G2G. Yeah, it was G2G. Like G2G.
G2A.
No, was it G2A? G2A, they steal game codes and they just sell them. Like,
well, users were doing that. G2A was
sure. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Also, I bought games from G2A, so
I'll Google for coupons every now and then. If I'm buying something that I don't like, I don't normally buy things off of eBay, but I'm like, I don't know, are there eBay coupons? I don't know. And there's usually not.
I won't. I just pay for the damn thing.
Outgoing Nintendo president Tatsumi Kimishima.
Wow, that was terrible. I pronounce Japanese names better than you do.
Pronounce it.
Kimishima.
Okay, that was not too far off. You guys
just said the same thing.
Not the same thing.
Has just taken part in his final shareholder meeting.
He was all, oh my God, Kimishima.
And he revealed that the company hasn't fully disclosed its 2018 software lineup. Mr. Kimishima stated that Nintendo will reveal more about its full 2018 lineup at the appropriate time, and this includes games that will launch during the competitive holiday season at the year's end. I guess that is okay. It's true because he said it, and I choose to believe that that's true. Why would he lie to his shareholders? However, people are getting very hopeful about this, and I think the reality is
hopeful for what?
About whatever the games that haven't been announced.
What else matters than Smash Brothers, Fire Emblem, Metroid?
Well,
what else matters?
Well,
Animal Crossing.
Here's
Pikmin.
This past
didn't they announce Pikmin already?
No.
Oh, okay.
This past year and a quarter has been very good for Nintendo. Has been very good for Nintendo fans. Nintendo has done a lot of right things, but I also think that the people that are getting very hopeful about this need to realize that none of the games that haven't been announced yet probably aren't as big of a deal as you're hoping they are, or they would have been announced already.
I'm disappointed in myself that I finished that.
Your diet Gatorade.
He's over here like gagging after like finishing it off.
I saw this news story, and my thought was maybe this is just a bunch of the games that they pushed from their E3 announcement, from everything that got leaked. Because they spent a ton of time on Smash.
Again, but what else matters other than Metroid, Smash, and Fire Emblem?
Well, exactly.
And Pokemon.
And
what else matters?
I was going to say,
but there was stuff in that leak. I don't remember specifics.
But nothing else really mattered.
No, but I feel like that could be what this is talking about right here.
But
it's stuff that's already been made that they know about. He needs to not
get his fans' hopes up. Because the games that matter have already been announced and are coming out within this year. Or
this was a
right?
This is a shareholder meeting.
Metroid is too.
Oh, okay.
This is a shareholder meeting. So this is more so just telling the shareholders, like, hey, you're going to get more money, around Christmas time.
There's no way this little Japanese man doesn't know that his fans are going to hear this.
Well, he's also, let me read the next news story, because I think he's also playing a little bit of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. He's trying to cover up for the fact that since Nintendo's E3 Direct, share prices for the company have dropped 17%.
Damn.
Although the company's focus on Super Smash Bros. Seems to have negatively affected investors' outlook on the company. According to GameStop's vice president of merchandising, Eric Bright, he basically says that the retailer saw Switch hardware sales double during the week of E3. So I think that whole thing during the shareholder meeting is him covering up for the fact that their stock prices have dropped 17%.
Why would investors think that Smash Brothers wasn't going to be good for Nintendo?
I think that when you look at Nintendo's E3 Direct, in terms of offerings on the system, it's significantly less than both Sony and Microsoft.
Sure. If shareholders are looking at E3 as a gauge for whether or not their system and the thing they invested in is going to be good, then they're not looking at things correctly.
Well, I mean, but they're also not gamers, you know.
That's
what they're seeing is like, hey, Metro's coming out. Destiny Forsaken's coming out. Red Dead Redemption's coming out, and none of those things are coming to the Switch. Meanwhile, the Switch Direct is just Pokemon and Smash Brothers, which we know as gamers is all Nintendo needs.
It's literally all they need.
A fall with Super Smash Brothers and Pokemon is a good fall. Sure,
but
Nintendo.
as an investor, granted, I'm not invested in multi-million-dollar companies. Mm-hmm. But even if I, this is me personally, mm-hmm. if I was invested in a multi-million-dollar company that I knew nothing about, I would educate myself enough to realize what is good for that company and what is not good for that company. However, I'm not invested in multi-million-dollar companies.
These people probably don't just invest. Like
sure, that's where I was. That's exactly where I was getting to. They probably have so much invested in multi-million-dollar companies all over the world that they just don't care. Yeah. They just see the overall like.
How much profit can I make off of this? They don't care the product.
Sure, exactly.
Well, I also kind of err on the side of. I love Nintendo. I've been a Nintendo apologist on this podcast for the 3 years of its existence. So the fact that I'm going to say this or be the first person to bring this up is a little bit shocking, but this has been a really good first year for Nintendo, and this is not like Nintendo. I would very much expect that next year and probably the year after that are going to be a little bit slower on software than this last year has.
I agree.
And I think that if I was a shareholder and I was really looking at investing money, I think that would probably have been a good time to sell.
No, I would invest heavily now. I would have invested heavily now, and as soon as Pokemon and Smash came out, drop.
Sell. We'll see.
I mean, that's the thing.
That's what he was saying. Like once.
No, he said
no. I would say I would have dropped at E3. I still probably would have dropped at E3 because I feel like the high that Nintendo was riding when the E3 press conference is coming around. Mm-hmm. I think even with Smash Brothers and Nintendo, and I might be wrong. We might see like. When that comes out, stocks are up 50%.
I wouldn't be surprised. Because guess who's going to buy a Switch? Well, I mean, when that happens.
To be fair, like I have a lot of reasons to buy a Switch, but that's just more icing on the fucking cake.
Sure.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like the other problem that you run into is that if Super Smash Brothers and Pokemon are really like this huge high. I think a bunch of investors will probably jump off at that point and sell their stock.
I 100% would. As an educated gamer, I 100% would sell Nintendo stock after Smash Brothers.
I guess I don't know enough, but I feel like E3 I feel like E3 is a reasonable time to do it, just because at this point, like, what else do you have to look forward to from the summer? You have those 2 games in the fall, which are 2 really big games, and we don't know what their early 2019 lineup is.
Other than Fire Emblem, but Fire Emblem isn't a system seller.
And if you're a minute too late on selling those stocks after Pokemon and Nintendo, you're not gonna.
Yeah, no, I would sell after holiday of 2018 if I was a Nintendo shareholder.
Yeah,
but it goes back to that discussion we had a few weeks ago where it's like, you know, Nintendo's about to crash and it's going to happen soon.
I don't think Nintendo's going to crash.
I'm sorry, crash might be a bad word. It's going to err on the downside after 2018 until like. Yeah. Something else happens.
I still stand by the conversation we had a couple weeks ago in our Microsoft versus Switch episode. If you want to go listen to that, go for it.
Way to sell us, man.
Yeah. I don't want to retread the same argument over again. I still stand by that, but I also think that like I know Nintendo fairly well. I can tell you what Nintendo's going to do. And part of the thing is that when Nintendo has a good console, which is usually their handhelds, it sells without them needing to pump out a game every month.
They make it out of cardboard.
And they make it out of cardboard.
Let's buy some stock in Nintendo while it's on the...
How much? I wonder how much like a share would be.
I'm trying to find that out right now. I don't know if it's a publicly traded...
Or it might not be publicly traded in America.
You're probably right.
This is a long one, but I think you'll appreciate this, Chris. I added it after I sent the notes out. In an interview on the Ubi blog, Ubisoft Canada's Executive Vice President of Creative, Lionel Reynaud, Reynad, I don't know, said future technologies could enable the developer to create an Assassin's Creed that drops in on different time periods. Other Ubisoft franchises can benefit from this too, with players potentially traveling to multiple countries in the same Far Cry or Watch Dogs game. Quote, we will have technology that will break the current limits of memory. For instance, because of new technologies that are arriving, we will be able to, in the same world, have several historical periods, for instance, in Assassin's Creed, and use the Animus to travel from one of the world linked by travel systems. No, I'm sorry. I think I skipped a line. Travel from one to the other. I did. Or have different areas of the world linked by travel systems, so that a Far Cry game or a Watch Dogs game could happen in different countries and the same experience seamlessly. This content could be part of the core of the game, or could arrive as DLC, as in the same breath, Reynad also alluded to a future with bigger post-launch periods enabling longer lives for each Ubisoft game, which I've talked about before. You excited about this, Chris?
I don't know. I wasn't listening to you. So Nintendo, I don't know if this, so Nintendo Company Limited ADR, I don't know if that's actually Nintendo or a subsidiary of it. On the, what is this? Is this a NASDAQ? I think this is NASDAQ. $40 a share.
That's really cheap.
That can't be Nintendo.
That's what I mean. I don't know if it's actually
that's something different.
It could be Nintendo.
Does that sound cool to you, Justin?
It could be Nintendo.
It does sound cool. I picture that happening as DLC though. Honestly, which I mean, that doesn't really sound out of the question if it's just going to be DLC. Like I guess I don't understand like the reason why that would be a big deal. Because it's basically like saying like, yeah, we'll have DLC. It'll just be not necessarily all set in like, I don't know, for Origins. Like it's not all going to be in like Egypt.
I'm sorry.
Or whatever.
I'm briefing over this real quick. So they're basically saying that there can be different areas in a game.
I think what they're saying is, with the new technology,
okay,
that is very ambiguous. But with the new technology, they could essentially have two different time periods in an Assassin's Creed game that are as fleshed out as one time period is in current Assassin's Creed games.
Why don't you just do that now? Just develop it separately.
Beats the fuck out of me, man.
Okay,
I don't. Like I said, the technology thing is very ambiguous.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like, okay, cool. You can have Assassin's Creed in modern day Egypt and ancient Egypt. Why don't you just do that then?
I think
because I know you can.
Unless it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they're both running like simultaneously, and if it's that, then I don't care. Like,
yeah, sure.
I mean, care what's going on behind me once I turn my character around.
Yeah, like I don't quite understand like the thing unless they're talking like they can develop. They can like half development time. Does that make sense? So they create ancient Egypt, and then they have this technology that auto generates modern Egypt based on ancient Egypt. Does that make sense?
I do. That's
like a butterfly effect sort of thing.
I like the way that you framed that,
kind of.
Because my first thought was like, you have a game that's in ancient Greece and ancient Egypt, but the way that you said it, I'm like, oh hey, that actually makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah,
than
that
what
makes
I was thinking.
to me that may. But then again, it's like, well, then if you want to do that, then just create a modern Egypt and create an ancient Egypt and put it into your game. But this would half development time.
I guess,
quote unquote.
I don't. That sounds cool for Assassin's Creed. I think the thing that's more exciting to me is like the idea of a global Watch Dogs game, where there's different things that you can do in different cities across the world.
I agree. However, the appeal for, at least for me, the appeal for Watch Dogs was the one-to-oneness of San Francisco and Chicago. Does that make sense? So if you're auto-generating cities all around the world, like if I go to Shanghai, I'd like to like see what Shanghai looks like. You know what I mean?
I would assume that it would be more crafted than like procedurally generated or just a weird default map.
Sure.
I think that it does put them in an interesting position, though, if this technology is unique to Ubisoft and it's something that's complex enough to allow them to flesh out worlds the way that I'm thinking they would. Because I think one of the biggest flaws in this new open world only game era is that you're limited to one map, and after a while, there's not a lot of diversity in that map.
Sure. I mean, I think Destiny 100%, going back to Destiny again, but it's a perfect example, suffers from that. So you have the base game where you have these giant EDZ and Nessus type worlds that are really big, and there's a lot of places to go do. But then in your DLCs, you have these really tight, compact maps, a la Mars.
Although I think Mars,
I'm sorry, Mercury.
Yeah, Mercury. Yeah, I think Mars is one of the. I think it's planets.
A bit, yeah, but like Mercury, you have this. It's an area, and you can make it from one side to the other in less than 2 minutes. You know what I mean? I think if this technology existed for Destiny, Mercury might have been something that was like a giant thing because they don't have to have a bunch of people crafting this one space. And that makes more sense when I think about it like that. Like the way they worded this is like, oh, well, just make 2 fucking time periods. You guys are game developers.
Stop
just
being lazy.
Do it. Yeah, stop being lazy and just fucking do it.
Introducing new levels.
Last and certainly the longest, speaking of Destiny.
Last and certainly least.
Destiny Forsaken is Game Informer's August cover story. And with that comes tons of coverage. Here's a breakdown from Reddit user u/its Danny, DANNIEY1.
I would say Danny E.
Yeah, I don't know.
However,
Deny.
Before we go forward, have you seen the game? I know you have. Have you seen the Game Informer cover? Good
Negative.
Lord. I stand with Aldrin. That's all I say. If I could kill Cade 6 myself, I would.
And with that,
Christ.
100%.
So, according to Game Informer, while the Scorn were once fallen, corrupted ether and repeated reanimations have mutated them. They were locked in the deepest part of the Prison of Elders and will feature new enemy types. They talk about interacted like Screeb that scramble on all fours and explode like cursed thralls.
They're kind of, I've seen gameplay of those guys. They're freaky as shit. I can imagine like 4 or 5 of those coming at you in a dark room would be like, it would be frightening.
And apparently the explosions are bigger than a Thrall explosion. Although I'm really fucking sick of Thrall. I just want to put that out there. Like Thrall, at this point, they're just annoying.
Orange Bar, Curse Thrall, and Escalation Protocol after fucking Wave 5 are just the scourge of mankind.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Raiders send out spinning explosive saw blades of void energy and teleport. Lurkers, smaller. These are the guys that look like skeletons with shields. They block shots until they're hit in the leg. And then Ravagers are the ones that hold the spinning lanterns.
Sounds like jackals.
Chieftains are essentially the new captains. They throw out different elemental totems that do things. So the solar totem spits out flame. Void totem gives shields to nearby enemies like the fucking servitors. And the arc totem attracts guardians to the totem center, leaving them unable to move away until it's destroyed. Like those fucking traps.
Sure.
The Scorn are really aggressive. The game wants you to hate Aldrin.
I do not hate Aldrin.
Has the opposite effect on Chris.
Yeah.
According to Bungie, there tries to be a balance as Aldrin kills Cade, trying to find his sister, and we go after Aldrin for killing Cade. It's cyclical.
Sure. I would kill Cade myself if I could.
Oh, go ahead.
You want depth in your game? Give the enemy some depth. Don't just make him a guy you're supposed to hate. Oh, he's real bad, everybody. Like, give him some depth.
Right. Well, it's like how Marvel kind of treated Thanos. It was like,
yeah, sure, exactly.
He's a bad guy, but it's like,
but at the same time, there's a small part of you that would be like, you know what? I agree. You know what I mean? And I'll follow you because I completely agree. Yeah. Like, we were talking about it last night when we were playing. It's like, give Aldrin some depth instead of him just being like, oh, you're supposed to hate this guy because he's real bad. What if he's doing it for the right reasons? Everything he's doing, he's literally doing to save the universe. And you're just following behind him and assuming, what happens when you assume everybody? You're just assuming that he's the bad guy here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do I trust Bungie to do that? No. Can I see Bungie doing that? Sure, if they nail it.
We finally got the information about how the new subclasses will work. I'm not going to break all that down here, but you can find that easily online. Each subclass is going to get a third tree, and I think one of the most interesting ones, although I will never play this because I don't care enough, I think that the Void Titan sounds interesting.
Oh, I was going to say Titan's got the gyp hard.
Oh,
I think Titan's got gypped
the
hard.
Void Titan sounds like you're just essentially making like fucking infinite amount of explosives.
It's like they took Telesto and put Telesto bullets or Telesto rounds into your abilities.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but like I feel like Titan's got the jip compared to like the Arc Warlocks who can fucking like Kamehameha, whatever that's called, just that beam of arc energy, or like the new Hunters, like the new Void Hunters.
Outside of the Void Hunter, though, the two other Hunters don't sound very interesting to me.
No way, dude. The solar one where you jump up in the air and like throw knives and like in this circular pattern sounds awesome.
But like
Golden Gun.
Golden Gun is the worst super in the game. And so like I don't have a reason to believe that the throwing knives.
Golden Gun is good
at one thing.
Golden Gun's great at one thing.
But if you're not using Celestial Nighthawk and you're not getting a precision kill, the super's worthless.
Sure. But then like the Void Hunter, so I thought originally when you pop your super, that's the only way you can see through walls. All you have to do is get a kill as a Void Hunter or a precision kill or something, and you can see through walls for a set amount of time. Like that's fucking awesome.
To me, my favorite one out of all 9 of the subclasses is obviously the Void Hunter. Like hands down, there's no reason why it wouldn't be my favorite.
Super cool.
I think the one that sounds like really interesting and the one that changes up gameplay the most, as long as it works right, I think the Titan one sounds
possibly different. Sure. The new Void Warlock one sounds really cool too.
I didn't really understand the Warlock ones that much, to be fair.
The abilities for the new Void Warlock sounds cool. The Nova Super, where you actually are the Nova Bomb. You can like blink around the field really easily, but when you actually pop your super or activate the thing, you blow up in this giant explosion.
You essentially turn into a Nova Bomb.
Yeah, which is that's really cool.
Just a big AoE.
Yeah, it's really cool. Except like Warlocks don't really concentrate too much on your armor. You concentrate more on recovery, so it may be really easy to kill a Warlock.
Oh, they have to like have that survivability up real high for that, or that just would not work.
Yep.
The majority of Forsaken's campaign, actually all of Forsaken's campaign, takes place in the Tangled Shores. The Scorn and the regular Fallen are not friends, which I thought was cool.
There's a new NPC named the Spider, who is a Fallen guy.
He's a Fallen captain. He's a vendor at the Tangled Shore, so he's going to be like fucking... I can't remember any of their names. Anna Bray, Failsafe.
Yep.
He's basically going to be that character.
He's also handing out quests though too.
Yes. Which they hand out quests to.
Oh, good call.
There is an
you also get tokens for
probably.
Sure, you will. Yes.
There is an uneasy alliance between the Guardian and the Spider. His spike-backed fallen enforcers often accompany you on subsequent adventures, lending support while rarely wading into the most dangerous confrontations. Early on, the Spider wants some new invaders dealt with. Later on, he clashes in more. He cashes in more favors to demand yet more work, hunting down outlaws from the prison of elders across the system. So you'll probably go to Nessus and kill...
sounds like bounties.
Yeah, a Vex dude.
HVT bounties.
These enemies are more spread out and can be in random world locations, strikes in the middle of Gambit matches, or in high-level lost sectors on old planets.
That sounds cool. In the middle of Gambit matches? That sounds awesome.
The meat of Forsaken campaign deal with the Barons and the Baron hunts. Each Baron's name is rooted in a Western archetype. So Western is in pew pew.
Sure, yeah.
And cowboys.
So you're going to hunt John Wayne, John Denver.
I'm not going to break all
Willie
of these
Nelson.
down, but essentially the game is going to let you choose what Barons you want to fight in what order until 6 are dead, and then it'll streamline you through the last 2 and get you to the end of the campaign.
I wonder if like certain Barons, you need to be at a higher power level to do them.
I think that's what they said in an interview during E3 was that it's essentially it's going to kind of be like Mega Man, where there are different power levels for different bosses, so and you can kind of do them in whatever order you want. But like there are going to be some Barons you probably don't want to fight because of power level differential. But you could do it if you wanted to, if you wanted the challenge.
That's where I don't like it. Like I'd rather have it as like, hey, there's a Baron, number 6 Baron. You literally cannot do it. Your 385 light.
It's gonna sound
can't do it.
Well, it's more like Zelda, where it's like you got to do like these temples, like in a certain order to kind of like,
To me, it kind of reminds me of like a stereotypical Western. Where like this sounds so corny, but it's like I have my list and I'm crossing names off my list. If they did it in like a linear story, I would kind of hate it because I'm like,
Westerns have you watched?
I don't know, but I feel like there's like that Western thing where like a cowboy's homestead gets burned down by a group of vagabonds. And so he goes to get revenge and he's like, I'm going to kill this guy and this guy and this guy. And when I take out these underlings, I can finally kill the big boss because he doesn't have all his protection.
You should
Spoilers for Red Dead Redemption 2.
You should watch more Westerns because Westerns aren't like that. Red Dead is.
Moving on.
Tombstone's kind of like that toward the end, sort of, but he's just annihilating all the cowboys at the end of Tombstone. There's no like order in the list. But yeah,
again, there's no like. I'm not saying there's an order. I'm just saying you're crossing off names on your list.
That's literally one thing, and it's Red Dead.
I like the idea of like going down the list, but you like say you come in contact with like someone who's later on your list. You're like, oh, I'm gonna get you in a couple days. I'll be back for you.
Oh, you.
There's a new public event called Cryocell Escape, where a cell from the Prison of Elders crashes down, and enemies try to retrieve their captive leader. After a new wave of the pod, after a few waves, use fucking commas. After a few waves, the pod will open.
Are you kidding me? They don't even know how to speak English correctly.
Yeah. After a few waves, the pod will open, and you'll fight the leader once held in the cell. Lost sectors in the Tangled Shore are more nuanced than before. One contains a fallen black market fighting ring and a chance to learn about the Fallen's bizarre take on a dance club. Sounds weird.
It's still not going to make Lost Sectors relevant.
Yeah, I mean...
Sorry, guys.
I don't know how you make Lost Sectors relevant without completely changing them. The closing act of the main campaign teases a greater threat, forcing your guardian to turn from thoughts of revenge to something more important. So it sounds like, hey, I've been like doing this thing, and meanwhile this other thing's happening.
What did I just say?
I feel like
what did I just say?
I feel like that's a way of like like you just not necessarily spoiled it, but you told everyone there's going to be like a twist. I feel like if you know,
okay, but
twist,
like here's the thing: like if you finish Destiny 2, if you first of all, I don't think there's a twist. I really think that it's going to be literally like at the end of Destiny 2. Spoilers for the end of Destiny 2. It's very clear that when the Traveler woke up, the darkness knows and is on its way.
It's not going to be the darkness, though. It's not.
I think that with Forsaken, if you know anything about Destiny, you know that while this might be loosely tied into the darkness or that greater threat, it's very much kind of a side story to what the main drive should be. And I feel like that problem still exists in Destiny 2 as well. Like Destiny 2 makes that story relevant by waking up the Traveler, but the reality of what you're doing in Destiny 2 is in no way really related to the greater threat of the universe. Right. Which is Destiny's biggest problem, is that with the exception of the Taken King, because I think killing Oryx is the most important thing our Guardian has ever done.
Technically, the most important thing our Guardian's ever done is killing Zol. Technically.
Zol. Oh, well, the most impressive thing he's done, but I think Oryx was more powerful than Zol.
That's literally impossible.
That's exactly the case, though.
Sure, but in Destiny lore, that is literally impossible for something that is controlled by worm gods to be more powerful than worm gods.
Well, Zol's the weakest worm god, though.
Sure, but he's still a
worm. He literally goes to Mars to hide from Oryx because he's afraid that Oryx is going to come kill him.
He's still a worm god.
Still, he's afraid, but he was afraid that Oryx was going to kill him.
And that's Bungie fucking over their own lore.
That lore exists. To be fair, that lore existed before the Mars expansion.
Sure, like they always do, though.
But anyway,
continuity to Bungie doesn't exist.
But anyway, I don't think that's a twist. I think that is. I think if you weren't expecting that, then you just don't understand Destiny lore that much.
Sure. The main campaign will more than likely focus on Uldren, and he's real bad, need to kill him, and then logically Savathun's going to pop up. That's going to be the biggest thing that's about to happen.
Ammo type is no longer directly tied to weapon slots. Obviously, many weapon archetypes are moving out of the power slot. Hawthorne's field forged shotgun is now kinetic. Primary, secondary using white ammo, auto rifles, bows, hand cannons, pulse rifles, scout rifles, sidearms, and SMGs. And then primaries using green ammo, breech loaded grenade launchers, fusion rifles, shotguns, snipers, and trace rifles. So that's interesting, I think.
What's a trace rifle again?
It's a Cold Heart.
Got it. Those are fun.
Let's see. Moving on.
It's just like a laser, right?
It's like that.
The Dreaming City will act as an inspirational location filled with secrets, new activities, and new raid dynamic content that changes week to week. There are story threads that you learn towards the end of the campaign that are only fully paid off once you beat the raid. Just like the Tangled Shore, the Dreaming City is a full-size destination about the size of Nessus.
Dreaming City's the Dreadnought, just maybe a little bit more fleshed out.
Yeah. You won't go to the Dreaming City during the campaign. Let's see. Forsaken, of course, they confirmed this in the actual Game Informer article outside of Twitter. But the level cap moves to 50 and the power level is now 600. I thought this was pretty cool. The Dreaming City is infected by Taken. After arriving in the for the first time, you are pulled into the Ascendant Realm.
Savathun.
I think Savathun's the raid boss.
Yep. Which is interesting because, like, if you break it down from a freaking spinfoil hat standpoint, when the Traveler woke up in that cutscene, it went from planet to planet, and the expansions and everything that have happened have followed that. Mm-hmm. Pretty like to a T. So like Traveler wakes up,
Mercury,
it shows Mercury,
Mars,
that was
Reef.
Mercury, Mars, the Reef. After that, it actually shows Saturn and the Dreadnought. So if Savathun's like the raid boss here, you know, if that video is anything to go by, why would we go back to the Dreadnought again? It's just interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't actually kill Savathun or something. I don't know.
The Dreaming City exists in both planes and will take weeks to unravel the mystery.
Yeah, they said the Dreaming City's on a 3-week cycle. So, like, as players play throughout this Dreaming City, it changes, and it'll change week to week. It's pretty cool.
At the end of the cycle, a greater secret awaits discovery for the Pinnacle players to confront.
Pinnacle players are raiders.
Yeah.
So you have to have a raid group to be able to figure
Why
out.
do they fucking? That's so insulting.
It's very insulting. That means
Pinnacle players.
I mean, maybe not insulting, but that does exclude people that don't have raid groups.
Oh no, it's just insulting that they call them Pinnacle players. It's like Pinnacle is like the end all be all.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
These are the end all be all players.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that is by Pinnacle they mean streamers.
Yeah.
Let's be 100%.
I mean, yeah, that's
let's
what
be
I was
100% honest here. But it kind of sucks that like it's very much a possibility that we as players of Destiny, me, Trey, not Daniel will LG it, but like me, Trey, TJ, David, we may not experience these things because we just don't have time to play it. You know what I mean?
Well, especially from what
really
it sounds
sucks.
like, it sounds like at the end of that 3-week cycle is whenever something very special is going to happen.
And what if we can't be a part of it?
Exactly.
It kind of sucks.
Because it's not even a weekly thing. It is a every 3-week thing.
So I mean, maybe that's Bungie saying is like, hey, if you want to do this, we're giving you 3 weeks to take off work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the hell's happening here.
So I have a couple more points left that I want to cover. I'm skipping through a lot of this because a lot of it's just not relevant. But for the final thing that I want to cover for the Dreaming City, at the center of the city is the Keep of Voices, where the new raid takes place. It will continue the narrative introduced with Uldren's Madness in the campaign, and will revel. I'm sorry, and will reveal. Well, they spelled it wrong.
Of course,
and I was like, "What the fuck are you? Why are you?" And will reveal. This is a horrible sentence. It will reveal the greater threat looming behind the curtain.
That's not a bad sentence.
Well, that's not what the sentence says. The sentence says,
okay, okay,
and the revel of the greater threat looming behind the curtain.
Got it.
But
Danny's 12.
So interestingly enough, technically the raid from Taken King ties into the main story.
Oh yeah, of course.
Finishing that raid is essentially how you finish the main story.
Yes.
But there's no narrative in it. You're literally just going in and killing orcs and you go out.
Sure.
The fact that Game Informer specifically points out it will continue the narrative introduced with Uldren's Madness. Do you think there's actually going to be story content in a raid?
Sure, to an extent. Taken King's raid continued the narrative content of the story. It did.
Except there was no narrative.
But it did. It continued. If you take that at its base value, the King's Fall 100% continued the narrative of Taken King's story.
I guess.
Are we gonna? Has Bungie evolved? No. So I don't think so. I think it's just going to be, and that's not saying anything bad. I wanted this raid. The developers of Bungie have said that this raid is going to have the most bosses out of any raid in Destiny, which is awesome. That means we're looking at maybe 3 to 4 bosses. So I envision this thing going, room, boss, room, boss, room, boss, room, boss. And that's fine. Like, that sounds like a great raid to me because I loved Kingsfall. That's basically what Kingsfall was room, boss, room, boss, room, boss. And I'm 100% okay with that.
I have a feeling that this is going to have more story in it. Is it going to have an impressive amount? Is it going to blow us away with the story? No, I don't think so. I do have a feeling it's going to have more story than other raids because really, if you look at the current raid, whose name I'm forgetting. Leviathan. If you look at Leviathan has more story in it than all the other raids from Destiny 1 combined.
However, the story isn't told throughout the raid.
I'm sorry, it tells more story in the raid than all the other ones combined.
To an extent.
Technically, Vault of Glass and Kingsfall, all that are narratively deeper when you dive into the lore. But like, there's actual story beats that happen in Leviathan.
To an extent. I mean, you also have to take like everything they've said prior to the Game Informer thing. Like they did say that as a team, they have elected not to go so far deep into like more and more cutscenes, right? We don't have 55. We don't have 55 cutscenes anymore. Everything's told in radio chatter and the weapon tabs and stuff like that.
But that's the thing about the raid is that I don't want cutscenes.
I don't either, but
I would very much like to hear someone just fucking talk to me.
Sure. Or like they did it. I think they did a fantastic job in Leviathan with the raid weapons, and you look at all the the lore tabs of the raid weapons,
basically the story
and everything. Yeah, if you didn't get raid weapons in Leviathan, you literally, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you just played the raid and didn't look at the raid weapons, you have no idea that Callus is testing you. You have no clue. You're just going.
He tells you at the end.
Sort of. He sort of says it.
There you get the invitation to the raid from an adventure, which you can totally miss the adventure and still do the raid.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the raid, Callus says something along the lines of, "This was a test. I'm offering you more power.
Sure.
I've been given more power."
That's like,
come join me.
Sure, but like you said, you could have missed the adventure, and you had no idea that you were invited to.
No, but he does say that at the end of the raid. Like,
sure,
he fucking actually. Unlike the other raid bosses, he actually talks to you.
Right. Mainly because he's still alive after the raid is over with.
I will say though, it does have like that Destiny style of storytelling where they tell you things and until you like get the greater context, you don't understand what's going on. So without reading those raid weapons, like what Callus says to you at the end, you're like, I don't. You might not even like
exactly. There's no impact. I would like that. I like that more than I like. I don't necessarily need a narrative story told to me every room or every boss that I kill.
Tell me why I'm there.
Just tell me why I'm there and then flesh it out in those lore tabs. Because it's a lot easier for somebody to sit in front of a computer and tell me a story than it is to hire your $1 million voice actors to fucking come in and tell it.
That's what I like about Eater of Worlds though. Because you go into Eater of Worlds, you're fighting the Cabal, and then Callus is like, wait, stop, hold on.
Right.
My ship has indigestion. Can you go take care of this for me?
It's for real.
And it's like, okay, got it. I got this. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Literally, he's like, my ship's belly is upset. Go take care of this.
And it's a fucking Vex that has infiltrated the Leviathan, which is super cool.
But like that's there, and it's cool. And I don't need hours of exposition.
Right.
Just tell me why I'm there. Because like with Vault of Glass, it's like, why the fuck am I doing Vault of Glass?
Right. Yeah. And that's what I said for last night when we were playing is that Bungie has suffered from this thing where it's like they've hired Nathan Fillion and Marina Baccarin and the black guy who plays Zavala. I always forget his name, but his voice is fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. You have all these people, like really extremely well-known actors playing these really awesome parts, and the voice acting so fucking good, except you just blew $25 million of your fucking budget on voice actors. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Look at your team, because I guarantee you out of 200 people that work for Bungie, you're going to be able to find 20 people that can voice act very, very well. Mm-hmm. Warframe does it. Mm-hmm. And they don't have 200 people on their team.
Yeah.
They have their actual development team voice act all these things. And that means they don't have to spend budgets on fucking huge voice actors.
Yeah.
And that anyway. Tell me, there's ways to deliver story other than Nathan Fillion. There just is.
That is very true. Not to downplay like the importance of voice acting. It's not that hard to be a voice actor.
I don't want to say that.
More people can do it than you think. Honestly.
Okay, I'll agree with that. Yes.
The only reason that people like Nathan Fillion and all these people get paid so much is because of their
very unique
resume.
Right,
it's their resume.
Right.
So you can find people who have better voices than Nathan Fillion.
You've got a game like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, who arguably have some of the best stories and the best storytelling in video games. without spending millions of dollars for Nathan Fillion.
Yeah. Although there is a line between
sure,
absolutely no context,
sure,
and a little bit of context. Just a couple things to cap this off. Bungie was surprised that Destiny 2 didn't have the same staying power as Destiny 1. So they began working on new features and fixes as quick as possible, like Masterworks, Escalation Protocol, and Exotic Quests. Does the expansion pass mean no more story content? Quote, no. Lore, story, and characters are always important to the experience in Destiny. The expansion pass is more about moving away from the one and done nature of story campaigns from DLC's past. It focuses on replayable experiences and content that extends the game. Another quote from Chris Barrett about the tone of Destiny. Quote, we wanted to shift the tone of Destiny to be a little bit darker. We want the tone of the story and the cinematics to actually reflect that. And that doesn't mean that comedy or humor doesn't have a place in Destiny. It absolutely does. But it can't be every time a character speaks or every time the ghost talks that they're trying to do a one-liner joke.
I agree.
And that's why they killed
Cade fucking 6.
Yeah.
In the entirety of Destiny 2 story, Cade 6 was not one word out of his mouth was ever a serious comment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what? I take that back. There was a couple. But for the most part, he was just one giant C-3PO and R2-D2. They were just 100. He was 100% for comic relief.
Yeah.
And it's fucking terrible.
Which is, it didn't bother me that much, but I also think like, I just, it's funny because I was thinking about why I played Destiny yesterday. And there are a lot of other shared world games out there. There's Warframe, there's Division 2's coming out, Anthem's coming out. And I really think that post Anthem and Division, unless they are just vastly superior gameplay experiences, I really think at the end of it, Destiny will still be my number one shared world multiplayer game. But the thing that keeps me coming back to Destiny is the universe and how interesting that universe is and how unique it is, especially amongst video games. But the reality is, and I know we've talked about this before, so this isn't exactly a new insight, but the way that Destiny fails is that it never really fully explores that lore in a meaningful way. Like, you can throw lore tabs at me, you can throw, the fucking app bullshit at me, but it doesn't have the same impact as seeing this stuff actually happen on screen.
Sure, yeah.
Like, you tell me Anna Bray is a badass in the Grimoire.
And then she just stands there.
And all she does in the game is, like, shoot a knight in the back of the head.
Never see her be a badass.
Osiris has a moment in that cutscene where he's a badass.
Yeah.
But we only get to talk to him for, like, 2 seconds.
Which, I am okay with that.
I'm not opposed to that, but it's also just...
I like my analogy.
We talked about this yesterday, though, that, like, one of the best things about Taken King was that not only did it introduce some new characters and not only did it tell a really good story, but it also offered a lot of depth with the characters that were already there. Like, you had quest lines with Amanda Holiday.
Of course.
You had stuff to do for Cade and Ikora and Zavala. And you also had stuff to do with DLC characters that had been introduced, like Eris Morn and Petra Venge. Yeah. And I had said something yesterday, like, man, I really hope that with Forsaken, we get more stuff to do, especially with Osiris and Anna Bray. And your response was, that's probably not going to happen. And you're probably right.
I think Anna would be fine, but like, I really like my analogy of who Osiris is. Osiris is like the Batman of Destiny universe. If you were to go team up with Batman, you wouldn't learn shit about him. You would get whatever he needed to get done, and then he would grapple, Michael Keaton his way out of there, and you'd never see him again. Mm-hmm. I think there's certain characters in the Destiny universe that need to stay that. Osiris, Toland. I think those type of characters, those really mysterious warlocks, need to stay mysterious, and that's their appeal. But that's why we have Eris and we have Anna and we have hopefully Petra is pretty well fleshed out, a little bit more than she was, and other than just the Queen's lackey.
She is the vendor on the Dreaming City.
Other than just the Queen's lackey, which that's all we knew who she was in Destiny 1. But yeah, like Anna, they've described Anna as being, she is so powerful that her golden gun was able to produce orbs of light that just aren't possible.
They're orbs of light that existed for years.
Right,
well,
that's
they're
it.
Fonts of light.
Right, and it's like, wow, that's fucking cool. But then you never see her do anything.
Yeah, and that's my problem with games. Especially with Destiny, that like have all these like amazing like lore and story behind it, but almost none of it is in like the game itself.
Sure,
it's like it's such a cop out. It's like, and if you can't if you can't translate this amazing story to a game, then like it's not. That's like people writing fan fiction for
yeah, you're not wrong. The grimoire is basically fan fiction,
so, and then like saying like, oh yeah, it's great, it's a great story, and it's like, no, it's not in the game.
So saying all that, like I do think there is going to be certain things that we've seen already where Bungie is doing that. So Gambit's a really good example. So in the Gambit game mode, you can invade. So it's PvE VP. So there's 4 people in one arena, 4 people. Your opponents are in another, and you're PvE battling. You're fighting enemies and you're putting in modes, blah, 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 blah. Every once in a while, depending on circumstances, you as a guardian can invade the other person's arena. And when you do that, you're surrounded by this really cool, like, dark red looking power. And that's to differentiate to other people, like, that's a bad guardian. He's here to try to kill you guys. However, when you jump through those portals, the announcer for Gambit or that vendor for Gambit literally says, let the darkness overtake you. And that's delving really deep in. I may be over reading this, but when you're covered in this like really cool, like almost dark red energy that's definitely not taken. It's very darkness, evil. Like, and then this Gambit guy goes, "Let the darkness overtake you." That's Destiny taking their lore about like the darkness and making it something, making it tangible, making it something that, holy shit, maybe when I'm invading this world and I'm going and killing these guardians, that little bit of what everybody wants out of Destiny is like, I want a subclass that has to deal with darkness. You know what I mean? Maybe that's something that they're doing. Again, I could be reading too far into this because it's Bungie. We know for 3 to 4 years now, Bungie has never delivered on story content except for a couple of different like Daken King and maybe Warmont.
But it has everything to do with the fact that they're constantly playing catch up. Like, that is the problem with Bungie.
Sure.
Is that they release a game and the base game is not what their community wants, and then they have to spend an entire year and a half.
Community being very loose term.
Yeah. But you have to spend an entire year and a half fucking making new systems and fixing it and not focusing on the story.
Yep.
Like, imagine if we got a full $40 DLC that didn't have to fix the entire fucking game.
Sure.
What kind of story would we get from that?
I think it would be fucking amazing. I can't even imagine. We're talking like World of Warcraft style expansion, which I think it would be fucking great. And it's you know, I've said this before. I said it to Daniel. I don't know if I said it to you. Like, it's great that we're getting Forsaken, and it's great that it's changing Destiny, but it's not something that we should be okay with. It's not something that we should be okay with paying $60 at the outset of of a Destiny game, and a year later getting content that really should have been in there from the get-go. Well, and it's not okay that we've been playing a game that they didn't. Well, and I don't know. And
I said this too, though. But like, all the stuff that they're adding is nice, but none of it is stuff that I wanted.
Sure, exactly.
I don't want stuff that I asked for.
Yeah, I don't want random rolls. I would pay Destiny to never put random rolls into a game ever.
The compendium and in-game lore, like, that stuff is cool.
Yeah,
and it's stuff that like would have been nice to add, but none of the stuff was expected from them. So for me, it's like, yes, I get that we shouldn't be okay with them like changing the game every year, but part of it is that like they're not changing the game for me. I guess I'm just benefiting off of it.
Sure, yeah,
but it's not the kind of expansion I would want. Yeah. But it is what it is.
I mean, it is to an extent. It is the kind of expansion I want. They're adding a really cool sounding game mode that like from the outset, I can totally see myself playing for hours on hours on hours. Right? Gambit really seems like something I could jump into and just stay in there for hours.
Yep.
But again, I would rather do that with strikes. Personally, I would much rather jump into a strike playlist and just go for hours, like we did in Destiny 1. Dude, we played strikes for I don't even know how long we spent in strikes. And
it's literally all we did.
Yeah, and there's still stuff in Destiny 1 strikes that we never got. Like then that's okay. But fuck whatever.
All right. Topic of the week. This is going to be more of a rapid fire topic. Hopefully it won't go any longer than probably 20 minutes. But my idea is that we just go in a circle, because I think eventually we'll all say each other's games. So it should shorten our people that have longer lists. And we should be able to talk about everything. Now that July is here, fall starts usually at the end of August. So we're about a month, almost 2 months away from the fall gaming season starting. And with that comes tons of new games and lots of money to be spent.
Too much money to be spent.
So I figured we could go around and talk about our most anticipated games of the fall. Both of you guys look like you're typing something, so
I was just pulling up a list just to make sure I don't miss anything.
I made my list.
I'm making my current list.
So the first game I'm excited to buy this fall, the earliest game I'll buy, is on September 4th, which is kind of lame that there's never anything in August I want to buy. But on September 4th, I'm obviously going to buy Destiny 2 Forsaken.
So my birthday is on September the 5th. Mm-hmm. And you should buy me Forsaken for my birthday.
That probably won't happen because I'm not going to have $160.
Not the whole thing, just the base. I'll pay for the rest.
I might pitch in with Whitney.
See, but us talking about Forsaken, it's kind of got me more interested in getting back into Destiny.
Get it on PC.
You never got into Destiny, so let's be honest here.
I played through the base game, thank you.
Get it on PC.
If it couldn't hook me with the base game, that is their fault.
Do not get it on PC.
Get it on PC.
Do not get it on PC. Get it on PS4. You'll have a lot more people to play with.
Yeah, for the PS4 you don't have, so get it on PC.
Well, you'll have a PS4 before September, right?
I would say more than likely.
See, here's the deal. If he's on PC, I'm on PC, you're on PC. If the three of us are on PC and we can get Daniel on PC, which would be very easy to do because Daniel is always looking for reasons to play his PC, we could easily convince Chris.
He won't play Destiny, though.
What do you mean he won't play Destiny?
Daniel will not play Destiny on PC for the exact same reason I won't play on PC. We've talked about it. No, he won't.
I bet he would.
Anyways.
I know he's probably said that to you, but I guarantee you if I was like, hey, Daniel, all these people are going to be playing on PC. Do you want to play with us? Daniel would be like, I'm buying it now.
Also, let's be 100% honest. Justin's never going to play this game.
Also, like when Forsaken launches, that's actually probably a really good time to buy it on PC because you can just get everything for $60.
You're not going to play this game. You're not going to play this game for long enough for it to even remotely be worth it for you to get it. Just buy it outright.
There are a ton of things that I do that I shouldn't do.
I assume you're buying Forsaken.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Justin,
we're talking about most like the soonest one coming out.
I'm starting from the soonest. You can go whatever order you want.
Technically, the soonest game that I want to buy just came out, and that was Jurassic.
That doesn't count as a fall game, though.
Okay. Oh, we're just going into fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said that during my intro when you were pulling up that list.
Probably Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Gonna be
September 7th.
Yeah, that's the next one that
I'll definitely be buying that game too.
About.
Sounds lame.
Although I have a feeling I'm going to buy Spider-Man and I'll play it for like a day. And then because it comes out so close to Forsaken, I will like not play it until like November.
Yeah, I guess I'm not getting Forsaken.
He's not going to play it in November either.
I will play it.
I agree you will play it, but it's not going to be this year.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Chris?
Next one after Forsaken is in October, Red Dead.
Wow. That's a long time. That's
September, October.
Well, but it's October 26th, so it's
September, Destiny.
Beginning of September, and
which
then
is
end of
more than another. 2 months of Destiny play is more than enough time.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like I can't believe there's not a game that's coming out earlier that you're interested in picking up.
Not that I know of. I mean, you may be able to pull up a list and I might pick something out, but this is the list that I made myself for money purposes, like how much money I need to set aside.
Oh, you're not getting Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Not right away, no.
Interesting.
Like I said, Assassin's Creed Origins is not the best Assassin's Creed game. Also, I've said this before, is Assassin's Creed is moving so far away from like Assassin's Creed games that they're just open world, really cool action RPGs. And that's fine, but I want Assassin's Creed again.
And you're not interested in Code Vein at all?
No, not really. Not to buy. There's too much. And so this list goes all the way to March.
We'll stop at December.
Sure, there's too much coming out. I'm not going to spend $2,000 in just in freaking fall. It's just not going to happen.
Which is plausible with how many games that are coming out, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I will obviously be buying Red Dead Redemption 2 as well.
Yeah.
That's another game he's not going to play for a while.
Which one?
I will probably play Red Dead Redemption 2 from the time it comes out, and I won't finish it. I will probably it'll be exactly like GTA 5. I guarantee you, it will be exactly like GTA 5, where I have probably put like 70 hours into the story in GTA 5 on one save and still never finished that game. Although I did finish Red Dead Redemption. That's the only Rockstar game I've ever finished. How
long did it take you to finish Red Dead Redemption from the time it came out in 2012?
I don't even know. But the thing is that but here's the thing. It came out in 2012. So that was 6 years ago. I was it 2012?
No, it came out sooner than that.
2012,
It did come out
It was
sooner than that.
Probably, I would say 2011. Maybe 2010.
maybe
I think it came out before that. But
maybe.
I think when Red Dead
I would say
Redemption came out,
2012.
I still wasn't old enough to have it. Came out in 2010, so that's 8 years ago. So I was 15, 17.
You were old enough to understand what was happening in Red Dead Redemption.
No. That's not my point. My point was that I don't think I had a job at the time.
Got it.
And I was going to school, but
Those are the days.
I had less things going on, so I had more time to play games. So
Sure.
finishing that game wasn't a problem.
Sure.
Whereas like when Red Dead Redemption or when 2 comes out, I'm going to be back in school. I'm still going to be working full time. I'm still going to be doing this. I'm going to be playing D&D, and I'm still going to be playing Destiny.
Sure.
So it's less likely that I'll finish this year.
Sure. You're just backing up my point.
Hey, that's just sometimes win, Chris. Just win.
I don't want to win.
Call of Duty. That'll be
I
one
just
that I'm
want
going to
people
get
to
to.
admit when they're wrong.
Yeah. You guys have named off a lot of my games.
Ew.
So
What? Ew.
the next game for me that I would buy that hasn't been named yet would be obviously, which is one that Chris is going to buy, Fallout 76.
Yep.
I think that's one that all of us are going to get.
You're not going to play that game
Why?
because I know you. You're not going to play that game.
What does that mean?
You're not going to play that game.
Why?
It's for the exact same reason you're not going to play Destiny because you don't have the time to invest into it. You're not going to play that game.
I would way more likely play Fallout 76 than I'm going to play Destiny.
The whole point of
Which again proves my point again. You are not going to get into Destiny 2.
I'm probably not because there's so many games coming out around it.
Unbelievable.
the point of this topic is actually that we want to reveal the fact that you're a fake gamer.
Yeah, exactly.
Justin.
I'll be Rocket League
He is a
2.
fake game. Rocket League and Pokemon Go. That's Justin's extent in gaming.
Yeah.
You were talking about Call of Duty though.
Yeah, that'll be one that I
Are
get.
you really going to buy Call of Duty?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
I actually think he will because I think he bought.
to prove
Didn't you
a
buy
point.
World War II? Or
No, that was the only one that I didn't get. I wanted to get it, but I never got around to it.
Here's my thing. I have that thing usually every year, and I get over it. But it happens every year where they announce a Call of Duty game, and for like 2 or 3 months, I'm like, I think I might buy this year's Call of Duty, and then I get over it. This is the first year in a really long time where I've been like, fuck Activision, fuck Call of Duty, fuck Treyarch.
Oh, hey, take it easy. It's not that big of a deal.
I think it is. I think the fact that you have to buy $100 game in order to get all future content for the game, for a game that is exclusively multiplayer and a game that has microtransactions, because at least at launch, the season pass isn't going to be split off by itself.
To an extent,
that
you
sounds
did
like
just describe
Destiny.
Destiny.
But
To an extent, not as hard as Call of Duty, but you did pretty much just describe Destiny.
yeah, but Destiny, how that's a good point. How do I justify that? No, really. Like you have me stumped.
Which makes it even worse is we already paid $60 plus $30 for year one. Now we're actually paying $70 for year two. So we're actually paying a lot more than Call of Duty started.
Okay, 2 things are different to me. Thing number 1 is that Destiny's not an annual franchise. I'm not expected to drop $100.
Triannual franchise.
Well, shit, we don't even know yet. Like
Sure,
the next
yeah.
one, if they launched Destiny 3
In 2020.
2020.
Yep. Triannual franchise.
I feel like that would be really dumb because I feel like it's going to be 2021 before we get another Destiny.
I think it should. I think there should not be another Destiny. I think Destiny 2 should be their base game, and they just keep adding on.
There will be.
I know it's not, but I
there
just
will be
think that's
another
what should
Destiny
happen.
because of the new consoles. But I hope that that's the case for Destiny 3,
Yeah.
where it's just like this is Destiny for forever. But it's not an annual franchise, so I'm not expected to drop that money every year.
Sure.
I think the next thing is that with Call of Duty specifically, like usually there's a campaign. So there's a reason for you to buy the game and play through the game. Most people just play for multiplayer and that's fine. But the fact that they're dropping the campaign and then forcing you to buy $100 pack, like in order to play the game throughout the year and not split the player base, like I think those things are shitty.
Sure,
Does
yeah.
Destiny do it? Sure, but Destiny is, I can buy the $40 base game and then buy the DLCs piece by piece.
Sure.
You can't do that for Call of Duty.
Sure.
I just think Destiny is also somewhat shitty. I can admit that.
It's just a matter of where your priorities lie and where you're willing to spend your money. That's where it's at. Most people don't see Call of Duty as being bad because Call of Duty is now giving you a strict multiplayer thing where now you've got a developer who did arguably has done the best Call of Duties in the Call of Duty lifespan, making a strictly multiplayer Call of Duty game and adding a really cool sounding battle royale mode to it. So, to a lot of people, I think $60 is 100% justified. The $100 is probably 100% justified to a lot of Call of Duty players, just not to us. That's just...
Yeah,
where I'm about to drop $180. I'm sorry, $80 more on Destiny 2. Where
I also see
the entire internet thinks I'm an idiot.
This is going to sound dumb, and again, the entire internet will think I'm an idiot. But also, to a certain degree, I see Destiny as a long-term investment in a way that I don't see Call of Duty. Like, I fully expect that we probably have 2 more years of Destiny content.
I saw Marvel Heroes as a long-term investment.
Yeah. I mean, it's a post-Rage 2 world, and anything can happen. But I don't have a problem dropping that $80 because it's like I know that I'm going to get probably another 2 years of this game.
But I think that's also because you enjoy, just in general, like you enjoy Destiny more than Call of Duty.
It's not a matter.
So it's like I'm not necessarily like. I'm not saying there's necessarily like a bias, but it's easier. It's easier to defend the thing that you enjoy rather than the thing that you don't.
I'm not sure it's it's a matter of enjoyment. It's a matter of what you feel you're getting value out of. Sure, like do I enjoy Myron Steakhouse in New Braunfels, Texas? It charges $60 a steak. Absolutely. But I would rather go to Chacho's in San Antonio and spend $8 on an enchilada plate because that's where my value lies. Overall, of course, that $60 steak is just better. It's better. It's better quality, probably better for you. Everything about it is better. However, my value will always go to the $8 enchilada plate at Chacho's. Does that make sense?
It's just that like the problem here isn't the season pass. The problem here isn't DLC.
Annual pass.
Well, I'm talking about for Call of Duty.
Oh.
Those things aren't problems for me. It's the fact that they're doing the same thing they did with Modern Warfare Remastered, where you have to invest in this more expensive product in order to get the full experience.
Sure.
That's what I have an issue with. If they had it split off where there was a season pass and you could buy DLCs individually, like you could for the last 10 Call of Duty games, that I would be fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, you still wouldn't buy it, but you'd be fine with it.
I still wouldn't buy it, yes. But I'd be okay with it. But the fact that the person that is buying the $60 game, the standard price, the standard version of the game, is getting significantly less content than the people that are buying $100, and they're kind of in a place where either they buy it or they don't buy it. Like, that's the issue that I have. There's no option to add that shit on later, at least right now. Whereas with Destiny Forsaken, sure, I can see why people wouldn't want to spend $40 on it. But you drop $40 and you can still buy the annual pass or you can still buy the separate DLCs.
Yeah. See, for me, it's not necessarily.
You can buy it. We'd have to double check that. I don't know if the things in the annual pass are separate from the annual pass.
I guess I don't know that it's been confirmed, but I'm assuming because that's how it's worked for the previous season pass and the season pass.
It's a possibility, but those little things that are coming in the annual pass aren't like Warmind and Curse of Osiris and Forsaken expansions. They're like. Their access to like Rise of Iron, their access to Rise of Iron, and their access to
I don't think we know enough about it.
Yeah, that's very true. But to me, that's like, so you've got like Solstice of Heroes that is an overarching game event for Destiny and faction rallies that's very minor. And then you have Forsaken and Warmind and Curse of Osiris that are worth to some people that are worth the $30. Then you have the annual pass. It's those 3 things are in between those. They're not quite worth the $30, but they also are more than Iron Banner. You know what I mean?
My expectation is that they're going to drop at $15 a piece.
Maybe. Sure, maybe.
$15 a piece, and then I think they're going to add enough to do in the end game.
Sure, yeah, possibly.
But we'll see. We'll get more information about that soon. Well, I'm not judging you for wanting to buy Call of Duty. I just can't see spending $60 on a game where you're just getting a worse version of the product.
Right.
So I'm judging you.
So my point isn't necessarily like how much money is being spent on it. Like, obviously, yes, that's important, but the way that us 3 judge like what is like worth it is different.
Because 100%.
For you, like especially, you always voice the fact that like, why do people enjoy these games so much where it's like you're doing the same thing just over and over again?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily enjoy like the loot grind of games as much as y'all do.
Sure, yeah, of course.
I don't enjoy the loot grind.
I am more than willing to pay. I am more than willing to pay, money, however much money I need to get a product, even if that product is just playing matches over and over again that I just enjoy doing. That's why I play Rocket League and Overwatch and Call of Duty. Those are the games that I enjoy playing. So for me, like, that's what's more like worth it, I guess.
Sure, yeah. It's, like I said, I don't think it's an enjoyment factor. I think it's just where we place value.
And that's
really,
what I mean.
It's really just a money thing, though, to me, because I could it is not hard to convince me to drop $60 on anything. Mm-hmm. I am the easiest consumer to sell on shit. I really am. I am a fucking mess with money. But with Overwatch, $60, and you get all the content for the foreseeable future until you don't for free. Rocket League is like $15. Mm-hmm. Even if I played Rocket League like 2 times and I got it for free, I still probably would have bought it at some point just to try it out and thrown that $15 away because that's an easy investment.
Right.
But I just don't see like this new trend in gaming where fucking over the $60 price point. Yeah. Just charge more for your games.
Yeah, like see, and that's where I think it's a value aspect because I don't think Overwatch is worth it at all because I want to look like Pumpkinhead Reaper and I can't. So I'm serious. So why
I know you're serious.
Why would I even spend $60 on the base game if I can't do that? Right. Like that's not a value to me. Do I get a shit ton of content for $60 and free updates every 6 months or whatever it is? Sure, but that's still not value to me. Mm-hmm.
Because in Destiny, where you can't necessarily pick what you get, but it's still worth it because you have more things to do.
I have a shit ton of things to do,
and that's where a lot of your value lies.
Right, exactly. Like
it's just differences in like where we see value.
Exactly.
But all of them are valid.
All right.
That is not true in any way, shape, or form. To be 100% honest with you, none of them are valid. And come next year, it's going to be real bad because, like, a game that, not in the fall, but of course, I think Trey and I are 100% looking forward to is Division 2. Like, everything after the base $60 is free.
Yeah.
All major content updates, all major expansions for the first year are free.
Well, yeah.
Like, holy shit, man.
I mean, it's a really solid point, too, because there's something to be said about free content, but there's also something to be said about the quality, which is something that we're both concerned about.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I can drop $40 and then $30 on the season pass for Destiny 2 is that, like, all 3 of the DLCs that kind of mirror those from Destiny 1
we know what we're getting
worth
into.
my money.
Yeah, we know what we're getting into with that money.
And it's even easier now because internet doesn't agree, but Curse of Osiris and Warmind are better than Dark Below and House of Wolves.
100% agree with that.
They are so much fucking better. And anyone who disagrees is a fucking biased moron or never played year 1 of Destiny. Sure. So shit, if Taken King was the best DLC that Bungie's ever made, and their first 2 DLCs are better than the first 2 DLCs for the first game, I have no reason not to believe that the quality of Forsaken will at least match Taken King or exceed it.
Yep.
And that's something I worry about with Division, where it's like Division had really solid DLCs.
Yep.
How is putting this on a free model going to affect the quality of those DLCs? And will it be enough to keep me playing that game? Because I will be playing at launch.
Sure, of course. And that's the thing, though, is like, I think without getting too deep into it, I think Division's in a really nice spot because they took Division 1 at launch was not the best game in the world. I loved it, but I don't think a lot of people did. And over the course of the 2 years it's been out since 2015, they've evolved it into 2015, 2016. They've evolved it into a game that I think universally somebody that sits down and plays Division now would be like, wow, this game is really fucking cool.
I still, like, on a weekly basis, think about buying the gold pack
on PC.
Division.
Yeah.
It's not on PC, on console.
Okay, yeah, and I think a lot of people will be like, wow, this game is really fucking cool. Like, it's a lot of fun. It's rewarding. It's super cool. And what Ubisoft or Massive did is they took that final version of the Division and put it in Division 2. You're not getting all the content and all the things you had in Division 1, like Last Stand won't be there, survival mode won't be in there, but all that base gameplay that makes Division amazing is there in Division 2. So then they can just build upon that again. However, it is a thing, it's like everything's free. Like, that's awesome. Like, hey, Call of Duty, EA over here, everything's free, but is it going to match the quality that Bungie gives us? Maybe Bungie's a bad example, but like...
I'm still going to stand by this, and it's something that I've had to give up with about Destiny 2, and I have to admit my own bias there for giving it up. But if you have microtransactions in your games, there is no reason to be charging for DLC. There's just not.
I agree.
There's no reason. At that point, it is just greedy. And, Activision...
Division has said microtransactions will be there for cosmetics only.
But make your microtransactions worth spending on. In Destiny, they're not worth it.
Right, because it's loot boxes.
Yeah, because it's loot boxes. But Activision seems to be the only company that's like, we're still going to do both.
Yep.
Even EA's backed off it.
Yeah, EA's backed off of it, and Ubisoft is a perfect example. I don't know what Assassin's Creed Odyssey looks like as far as microtransaction goes, but Massive laid out everything for us at E3. It's like all DLC's free. There will be microtransactions, however, it's cosmetic only and no loot boxes. So if you see a gun skin you want for $5, buy it. Well, there you go. There it is. Like, that's great. Like, that is the perfect, to me, that is the perfect model.
Yeah.
Perfect. If Eververse just let us, if I want that exotic ship, let me fucking buy it. I would have spent so much money in Eververse if they just let me buy what I wanted and didn't have loot boxes.
The shitty thing is, the reason things like that stay around is because they work.
Because they do work.
That's the thing.
Yes.
If these things didn't work, if it didn't work, it wouldn't be there.
Because I don't feel like it's working in Destiny. Well, I mean, it might be working in Call of Duty.
I think it did in Destiny 1. I think people were okay with it until the Festival of the Lost fiasco.
I really think it's a game by game basis, because it obviously works for Overwatch.
Sorry, that's the thing. It's like Overwatch is loot boxes, but it's all cosmetic. I get it.
Yeah.
However, that's just I fucking hate it.
Yeah, but like it's one of those,
just not your game.
But it's one of those things that I'm willing to back off on. If I can, in a week or two, I can probably 3 weeks actually, I can download the update for Overwatch and then play the new hero and not have to drop $10 on him. It's okay. Sure, it sucks in a lot of ways, but I'm okay with the way the loot box system that works. But you just take it by a game basis. Like, it obviously didn't work for Battlefront 2.
Sometimes you're okay with it. Sometimes you come on this podcast and be like, I just want the fucking skins.
It sucks. I get frustrated by it. I'm not saying that it's a perfect system. I would like to be able to buy what I want to buy.
Sure.
But I've probably, as far as a loot box game goes, I don't play many of them. I've probably spent the most money in Overwatch. I've probably spent at least $60 to $80 on Overwatch.
I never would have done that. However, I spent $200 in Marvel Heroes because I honestly thought that game was going to be around for a long time.
You know what the second most loot box spent game is? Elder Scrolls Online. I've spent at least $30 on additional fucking loot boxes.
That's another great one. Does $15 a month subscription fee? They just give you that money back in loot boxes. That's actually really awesome. Yeah, it is.
It just depends on how you think about it.
So, real fast, just a quick sidebar. There's a subreddit called r/Thanos did nothing wrong.
Yes,
and they recently got on the news because they're going to ban half of their subs.
Yeah. Wow, why?
Because that's what Thanos does.
They basically over the next
and I get updates on my phone about it every now and again, and I laugh every time I see something. I'm not subscribed to it. I should do that.
That's pretty funny, actually.
It's like over the next basically they're advertising it heavily for the next I think 7 days, however many stones. Each day is like a certain stone.
Yeah.
And then once all 7 stones are collected, they've come up with an algorithm or a bot that is going to randomly ban half, including mods.
Nobody's safe.
Exactly.
That's actually pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's really neat.
I kind of want to subscribe to it just to see.
I just subscribed to it.
Do I make it? Do I not?
At first, I was like, I don't want to subscribe to this because I don't want to be banned from it.
Can we make a subreddit?
But what if you're not?
Can we make a subreddit that's called r/Aldrin did nothing wrong, and anybody that subs to it that has any sort of remote reference to Cade just automatically gets banned?
Sure, let's do it.
Nice. Can we do that?
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
Chris, what's the next game you're buying this fall?
That's it. After Fallout 76, that's it. It
goes, not Pokemon Go?
Nope. Oh,
Let's Go, which was my next game.
I'm technically not. Yes, Whitney and I have fucking. Yes, fine. Pokemon Go. Yes, fine. God damn it.
God damn, Trey. Why did you?
I'm not buying this. Whitney is buying this game.
Mm-hmm. But you're going to play it.
Sure.
I watched the E3.
But again, I say that it's like our money's the same. So yes, technically I'm buying it as well.
I watched the E3 Nintendo Treehouse thing that they did on it, and it sold me on the things that I was worried about.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Like the EV training stuff sounds pretty cool.
Sure.
I think when you catch a Pokemon and you transfer that Pokemon to Professor Oak, like you do in Pokemon Go, instead of getting a Pokemon candy, you get an EV candy, basically.
Right, yeah.
And that's how you EV train your Pokemon.
I'm not super, and that's the thing.
So there's still a competitive side to it, which I think is cool, because I was worried that wasn't going to be there.
To an extent. But I'm not, there's a few things I'm not keen on, like open world battles don't happen. Like you don't run into a random Pokemon. You don't get to battle. You just throw it, and that's how you level up your Pokemon.
Yeah,
like
that's experience point share. Basically.
Yeah, experience point shares, and that's how you do it. Of course, you're going to get experience for battling leg trainers and stuff like that. But like, I don't necessarily like that too much because I think if you were to take your Pokemon time and your Pokemon play, I think the majority of it, at least for me, is randomly walking through grass.
Oh yeah,
and I personally like that grind in Pokemon. I know a lot of people don't, so this is kind of up their alley. But again, this is also not. This is not the mainline Pokemon game on the Switch.
Not the traditional.
Yeah,
Pokemon.
so that's I'm okay with a lot of the changes they made because I know we're going to get a mainline Pokemon game soon. So.
Yeah, but see, this is another game that like this particular game isn't going to make me buy a Switch. But I've known that I'm eventually going to buy a Switch.
Sure.
And I will most likely have one by then.
Yeah.
And this is a game that I'll probably get as well. Especially with me getting into Pokemon Go over the past month.
Sure.
Again, it's been so fun.
Another sidebar real fast, just very fast. So with the 3DS, you can transfer Pokemon from the Virtual Console version of Pokemon Silver and Gold and Red, Blue, Yellow. In Pokemon Silver, there is a method of breeding that will get you a shiny Pokemon 1/64th of the time. And if you start with the Red Gyarados, you can essentially breed 200 different Pokemon starting with the Gyarados. People are using that to transfer that into the 3DS game. And I think that's a really fucking crazy way to get around it. Using an old game to get shiny Pokemon in your new game. I just think it's fucking crazy.
It's just crazy that people figure these things out.
I know. There was a whole post on Reddit the other day and I was like, holy shit, dude. Someone took the time to figure this out. Anyways, Justin, what are the games that you have left on your list?
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon Go. And then, after Pokemon Go, there's Smash, which I feel like if I'm going to own a Switch, I would more than likely own Smash too.
Yeah, I'm excited for Smash. I'm more excited for the day where we fucking set up a TV somewhere or play at our house and just do Smash.
Have you played Smash?
Have I played Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah.
That's a dumb question, Justin.
That's what I've thought, but then I've asked people, and some people are like, "Yeah, I've never played."
How old were they?
My age, old enough to have played.
No, there's your logic right there.
See, I feel like Smash is one of those games that at some point in your life you went to your friend's house for something and you played Smash, even if you didn't own it.
Not if you're not older than 25 years old. Absolutely not.
One of the best Thursday streams we ever did was Super Smash Brothers.
That's not true. It was Super Mario Kart.
I said one of the best, not the best. But yeah, anything else? That's it for your fall game. So you're buying Spider-Man, Call of Duty, Pokemon, and Super Smash Brothers.
Yes.
Fallout 76. I think you said 2, right?
Yes.
You're not going to buy Fallout 76.
You're not going to buy Fallout 76.
Or Destiny. It's not going to happen.
I would pass up Destiny for Fallout 76 if I had to choose between the two.
It's not going to happen.
Well, they're also coming out 2 months apart, so you might be okay.
Are they? I thought they were close.
It's not going to happen.
So that's our most anticipated games of the fall. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this fall. Realistically, when I look at that list, I'm like, these are all pretty decent games, but I'm unsure of enough of them that I don't feel like it's a great fall.
I think they're all great sounding games, or at least on my list. My list sounds fucking awesome.
So Forsaken's going to be fine.
It's only 3 games.
Forsaken's going to be fine unless 2 months from now I'm screaming about it on the podcast. Spider-Man, I'm sure will be fine. Red Dead Redemption 2, I assume I'm going to like it, but there's a good chance I don't. But Smash Brothers, I'm going to buy because it's Smash Brothers. When a Smash Brothers game comes out, I will buy it because I know what I'm getting into and I like it. There's not a super passionate feeling there. I'm still pretty unsure about Fallout 76 and Pokemon Let's Go. Fallout 76 has a lot to prove to me to get me to keep playing it. I'm going to buy it regardless. And Let's Go, I think that it's just as likely to be bad as it is to be good.
Yeah, that's why.
Well, I just had to buy all these games to prove Chris wrong. So
that's why there's only literally 3 games.
You're gotta start saving.
There's only 3 games on my list, and literally the things you just said are the reason there's only 3 games on my list.
What about Lego DC Supervillains?
How
could we forget?
I guess I totally could make the time to play every game like I did back working at GameStop, but I'd rather not. I'd rather use my video game time to play games that I'm absolutely positive I'm going to love. And I'm absolutely positive I'm going to love Forsaken, Red Dead, and Fallout. There's no doubt in my mind I'll love those games.
Also, part of me really wants to get a lot of these games too, because if I get a PlayStation, I feel like I'm going to be more inclined to platinum games, since that's like a thing.
Yeah, it's weird how platinuming a game is a lot more than getting the 1,000 gamer score on Xbox. It's weird. It's the same thing.
It is, but it's different.
Knowing that I have a platinum trophy is a lot cooler than saying you 100% completed.
But see, the thing is, like, you can 100% complete a game. Some games,
Grand Theft Auto 5 is one where you can 100% complete and not get all the trophies or
exactly. Like, you don't have to do like sometimes like Xbox achievements are kind of like a little bit off the wall. Like, do something weird in the game and you get like an achievement for it. But you can get 1,000 gamer score in a game and not complete the entire game, or not do all the question marks and clear the whole map.
Sure.
I've said it before, though. I think that trophies say more about a gamer than a gamer score does.
I agree with that.
Like, when you look at someone's profile and it's like they have 15 platinum trophies, you're like, interesting.
Yeah, he plays games to completion.
Yeah.
Or he or she, sorry.
Like, a gamer score is just a flat number, and it's like, oh, he has 1 million gamer score.
That means he probably played every Avatar: The Last Airbender game because it's an easy 1,000 points.
Or he's played thousands of games and just has only finished the first mission on all of them.
Yeah, it is true. Like, I think if you were to look at, I think mine at least, there's a lot of bronze and there's a lot of silvers, but there's also a lot of gold. So, like, I play games to a certain completion. I just don't go do the off-the-wall things you need to do a platinum. Does that make sense? Like, I think I have a fairly good amount of gold trophies.
Well, it also bothers me that on my gamer score, like, some things aren't perfectly rounded numbers. So, like, I played a game and it gave me a gamer score of like 5. So now it just doesn't look right.
So, but it's funny because you look at my trophies, right? I have 1,121 bronze, 302 silver, 51 gold, and 11 platinums. What that tells you about me is I try a lot of games.
You play a lot of games. You do not finish a lot of them.
I don't finish a lot of them.
But the ones you do finish, you finish.
I fucking finish.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of my 11 platinums. They're a lot of them are games that aren't hard to platinum.
I was gonna say a lot of them are. Not all of them.
A few, like Battlefield 4 was a fucking bitch to platinum.
Question about platinums. So do you get a gold in a game, and then once you get platinum, does that gold go away?
A gold trophy is like a achievement that has like 200 gamer score.
Okay.
Yeah, gold trophies are just things that are harder to do in the game.
Gotcha. See, I didn't know if it was like games that like basically like you're leveling the game.
Actually, I take that back. This all depends on the developer. Gamer score and trophies are dependent on whatever the developer decides what they should be.
Like the difficulty.
Sure, yeah. Like a gold trophy doesn't necessarily mean you accomplish something difficult. It usually means you just put a shit ton of time into the game. That's usually what gold trophies mean.
Yeah, that's what I want to do on PlayStation. Like,
sometimes
I want to get Spider-Man and like I'll probably like a lot of these newer games I'm probably going to get on PlayStation.
Sure. Yeah, see like Spider-Man, there could be a gold trophy that probably says like web swing over 20 miles in game. Like that's you just got to play that game a lot to get that trophy.
The thing that I love about Sony though is that lately their platinums have been on fucking point.
Yeah.
Like they're things that aren't easy to do that take time, but it's not
impossible.
There's never an impossible trophy on there. Like I really wanted to platinum Titanfall 2. And Titanfall 2 has that one fucking trophy where you have to get through the obstacle course in a certain amount of time. I just could not do it. I could not for the life of me do it.
Want to know why?
Because I suck.
Because parkour in a first-person shooter is terrible.
No, because the time was unrealistic. Because fucking parkour in Titanfall is awesome. The problem was not the controls. The problem was that
in third person,
I'm not good.
You could see everything, and you'd be able to parkour easier.
Titanfall would not work in third person. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't move fast enough.
I'm not saying Titanfall should work in third person. I'm just saying parkouring in third person is a lot better than.
We're never going to agree on this.
It can be said about a lot of things.
If you guys like what we do, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. You can follow the show on any of your favorite podcast apps or on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Twinstick Radio and on Facebook at facebook.com/Twinstick Radio and on Instagram, Twinstick Radio. It's very easy. If you look for us, just search Twinstick Radio and we're probably there. All of us on Twitter as well. I am at Darth Trey. Chris is at Short Change Hero with a 3 instead of the E in Hero. Justin is at Justin T. Lopez. The show is produced as always by Everett Jordan. Give him a follow on Twitter at The56th. And the show is edited by Connor Manning. Follow him on Twitter at Connor13. Check out the stuff he does for Downstream Studios and hire him to produce your next jazz pop album. Thank you for listening.
Connor doesn't do jazz pop.